Hello everybody, I'm just going to bring everything over here and then we'll get started. I'm going to start lowering the music. Cool. All right, I'm going to unmute all of you. And then I'm going to switch us off from studio all the way over to just the standard podcast. Hello everybody. Wow.
It's like the radio voice.
I can't get over these like lo-fi radio transition.
Oh man, she has many different voices. Many different voices.
Man, you guys are not prepared for my customer service voice. That is.
I've heard it.
Yeah. It's fine. Every time we go to it's specifically the Starbucks drive-through, and Lucas is just like, it's all you, and the person's just like, welcome to Starbucks. How are you today? And then I'm just like, so good, thank you so much. What I'm looking for, I actually have an order in here, and it's just for Fiona. Oh my god, thank you so much.
I don't need to relive this. I do not need
have
to
a great day. And then we
the interaction is like 85% pleasantries, and it's just like, you're just getting a coffee. You are exchanging money.
That's a white shit right there. Not gonna lie. I was like, yo, can I get one of these, please? Yeah. Okay, we good then? Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. Control it.
Oh my goodness.
Where's Luke
We have
the cat?
Frank in the chat demanding.
Demanding what?
Demanding the child.
Is he back there? I don't know. Let's see.
I don't know.
Oh.
Let me see. Okay.
He's not around. You know if he comes by.
Yeah.
Oh, Karl promised 2 cats.
That's
Technically, we have 3.
It's true. We also have the. Oh my god! I will be honest. I've been playing Hi-Fi specifically for 808. Not good. Just the.
God, I was just like, the whole time I'm thinking of is a fucking area code that you guys are talking about.
808.
I mean,
you know what? Fair. Yeah, no, Hera's somewhere.
apparently that's the Honolulu area code.
Yeah,
Oh.
thanks, Frank. It's not complete as I haven't been working on it in a while, but I like the way it looks so far. Just gotta get South America going. And the rest of Asia. But yeah, I'm really happy with it.
Yeah.
Does it light up?
No.
Oh, okay. Soon though.
It would be cool to run lights or something behind
That's
it.
the next project.
Yeah, that's the next project.
Yeah.
I saw somebody did one like on the maker page. They had they basically did like a plant wall behind it and then put that over top of it. That looked really cool too. But too much for me.
Oh.
It's the third beard secret cat. What? I don't have a secret cat. What's happening here, Karl? What did I just have a cat's conversation? I had a cat conversation with one of my friends today or yesterday as well. Oh, you guys did your cat propaganda, man.
What do you mean? Oh my god. Random fun fact, the people who sold us the filament that made those 3D hexes behind Lucas's head are the same people who made Woody, the fantastic tree over in Dartmouth. If you're unfamiliar with Woody is a classic Canadian look. I'm
For Toy Story.
What
When are the coasters happening, Fee? When are the coasters happening?
Oh snap.
Where's your 10 pounds of fucking clay?
The 10 pounds of clay? It's somewhere. Where is it?
Oh my god, she's already lost the 10 pounds of clay.
Oh, it's over there.
It's lost.
It's over there.
It's in the wild.
It's on its own shelf. It has its own dedicated clay shelf. I need to open that up.
God.
Here's the thing. It's because I wanted to make sure that I had the time, and also we have our old TV currently on our table right now, as you can see behind Lucas. That's the new TV. The old TV is currently on our table. So I love the fact that you look behind yourself, Harv. That is
I was
not where
looking,
the
I
TV
was, no,
is.
no. I was just saying like what's behind me.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm like, no, Harv, that's not where the new TV is.
Oh, that's where the couch is. That's all I got. That's the extent of what I have.
Oh my god.
Not the McMansion tangent. Abort.
Oh my god. Lucas is gonna leave halfway through this podcast and be like, "No, I'm done.
I want another beer here soon.
I
Yeah.
can't handle this. I'm not dealing with
Should have been better
this."
equipped.
I mean, there's some in the kitchen currently.
Oh, sure. It's all good.
I mean, there's one that looks like what is it? It looks like a Gundam.
My door is over there, though, Frank. My door's over there. So, I mean, I have my sun deck door. I got that right there.
History lessons by Fee. Anytime, anywhere, I will rant about McMansions and how horrendous they
Oh,
are.
fucking hell.
This is what you get.
I can't.
Yaz? Hello, Yaz. Hello. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm just going to retweet that we're live on my Twitter, and then we'll get started.
It's hard work. I'm kidding. I'm joking. I joke. I
Get
can't.
out of here. Get out.
I'm
Out.
gonna get another beer. I'll be right back.
Oh my god. Oh man, you know what I should have done instead? I should have done that hi-fi 808. They have like the woman yelling at the cat. I retweeted it on my Twitter, and it's just like the two characters like, oh, and 808's just like
No, like
I'm gonna have to post that in our chat right now. It
That
is
was great. I
like,
saw your tweet of it. It was iconic.
Oh, my hair is just
that's great.
F,
That's
dude.
great.
oh my god.
I was not emotionally prepared for the jump scare that would occur from Googling Woody Dartmouth.
You've unleashed it. It's like a creepypasta. You can't look at the picture.
It is. That's exactly how I would
Yeah.
describe it.
Oh my god. This is my first time watching the podcast. Do I have to prepare my mind? Absolutely yes. If I'm on this podcast, you have to prepare. Oh
Preparation's half the battle.
my god. All right. Also, should we remake the cast of Three Men and a Baby? We
Oh
all
my
agreed
goodness.
that it should star Pedro Pascal, Oscar Isaac, and then Michael Pena. Absolutely. I want this. I need this. Someone has to have a really fantastic mustache in that movie, though, because someone has to play Tom Selleck, and that is a majestic ass mustache.
Yeah.
Say Woody
True.
Dartmouth.
Iconic mustache necessary.
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ.
This is already chaotic. We haven't even gotten to the podcast. We are just getting prepared. Yeah, we'll talk about where Mario and Frank are. If for people who've watched the podcast before, you
FEMA.
already know. FEMA. Hashtag FEMA. 808. 808's also joining us on the podcast. I should have put that in our tweet. What a missed opportunity.
It's a surprise guest for anybody who joins.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was just fitting because we have a black cat and a tuxedo, that it's just like the vibe of our cats. Like, if you don't see them currently in the background or currently screaming at the wall, then that's the vibe that our cats have. You work for FEMA? Frank has got a fucking upgrade.
Nobody simply works for FEMA.
No, I did the kidnapping.
No one simply
Wow.
works for FEMA.
Is that where
Frank is employed by FEMA, but really he's just held hostage, and they're giving him tasks to appease him, so he thinks it's of his own.
It's like that thing where like you get sentenced to like life in prison, but you have to work for them to get your life in prison down. So this is what's happening right
This
now.
sounds like a crazy anime. I'm not gonna.
He
lie.
works for FEMA that isn't uppercase. He works for lowercase FEMA. That's what he works for.
You mean like the goop of FEMA? It's just like the organic / some I
They don't call it FEMA. They call it FEMA.
FEMA.
Yeah.
FEMA. Has an
FEMA.
Yes.
Never mind.
Oh,
With that note,
oh my god. On that note, let's get this party started, shall we? I should just start playing random music. Well, give me 1 second here, because on my side, like, just randomly, I apologize. Sly, were you able to get the show notes fixed because on my side it's still showing as gray.
That's white for me.
Oh, that's
Unfortunate for
weird.
you.
Let me
Try
try to
refreshing the page.
Perfect. We all.
Yeah, we saw it. Don't worry, we saw it on your face.
It went from white to gray again.
Yeah, we saw it on your face. Don't
Go
worry.
to file,
Okay, file.
page it up, and then background color is how I fixed it on my end.
Yeah, it says it's white, which is weird.
Change it to a different color and then say change it back.
There you go.
Okay. Okay. I just changed mine to have the window mode. I know it sucks, but it works for me and I can read it. So,
Okay. There you go.
all right. Give me 1 second here. I'm just going to take a drink. The FEMA conversation. I can't handle this anymore.
I can't wait till we announce that we are sponsored by FEMA for this episode.
The day that
We gotta get-
happens.
Sponsored by FEMA and Nutter Butters to keep the joke going.
Oh my god. This anymore. Oh my god. Let's see. All right. Just. All right. Trying to shake it off, I guess. 1 second here. All
We're
right.
trying to shake off.
Shake it off.
Just the nerves and also like
The vibes.
summoning the spirit of
The
Taylor
vibe.
Swift apparently.
We're
Oh,
65
gone.
episodes. We're 65 episodes deep, V. I think you should be fired.
Yeah.
Bruh,
I mean, like I feel. I can do it. You can do it.
oh my god. You can host this week. All right. Let's start this off. All right. Well, hello and welcome to the Point in Progress podcast, episode 64, your funky fresh podcast talking about The Last of Us, Hi-Fi Rush, and the stresses of Uno. Let the progress begin. I'm your host this week, Fee. Also, my actual name is Fiona, but we go by Fee here. And
Can we get your full name, please, for the record?
Social insurance number.
yeah, absolutely. Fiona, breaker of chains, queen of the dragons. No. So yeah, welcome to the podcast, everybody. I'm gonna be hosting this week. As you may have noticed, we are currently missing a few of our co-hosts, Frank and Mario. Both of them either working or held hostage by FEMA. Hopefully by
For debate.
up for the debate because Frank says he works, but well, might be a front. But yeah, in their place, we have Lucas, also known as Green Rose 7, also
Howdy.
known as our board game Sherpa, also known as the person who has to deal with me on a daily basis.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. My God.
I gotta say though, Fee, when you were introing the podcast, well done, first of all, round of applause. But I really thought you were gonna go full Obi-Wan. Well, hello there. Wait, you started?
Man, I should have. What a missed opportunity.
You gotta go like off screen,
Next
like
time,
come
next
in.
time.
Room for improvement. Yeah.
Okay, next
Just
time
jump into camera frame.
Yeah.
gonna
Hello
find-
there.
I'm gonna find a way to get a lightsaber, and I'm just gonna like come out, just like out from the bottom of my screen, and I'm gonna have a lightsaber, and I'm just gonna say hello there.
Well, anything could be a lightsaber if you really work hard.
Wow. Okay, that's weird. Anyway,
Hold, please.
we just lost a co-host. All right, and also we have another person joining us, 808 from Hi-Fi Rush.
Welcome.
Welcome. Welcome. Not very chatty. But yeah, welcome once again. So while Sly has disappeared, hopefully they were also not taken by FEMA.
Mysterious knock at the
it
door.
was only what I could find. I know I have more. But we do got this going on.
Oh
I'm sure
my.
It used to be red,
What
but
a
I'm sure the
hilt.
batteries are dead, as I have not touched this in probably Oh god, like 10 years.
Oh man.
Hello, I'm 808 from Hi-Fi Rush.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh my god. Wow. It's
Walking
808.
in. Confirmation.
For a person
heard it
that
here
doesn't
first.
come on the podcast for 2 weeks, I feel like Frank is very available to be on the podcast for 2 weeks.
Oh man.
Guys, it's not Frank. It's 808, obviously. Oh my god. All right, let's get back on topic. Let's get into the checkpoint. We have a few things that we need to cover. First of all, Mario has released a review for Seasons, A Letter to the Future. He released it yesterday on the YouTube channel, so please make sure that you check it out. It is a fantastic review. Honestly, I'm really proud of it. I know we're all proud of him here on the podcast, and so definitely make sure to check that out. It's fantastic, and honestly, not even just because he's a part of Point in Progress. I appreciate the fact, as someone ADHD brain, it's 2.5 minutes long, so it's very easily consumable rather than being like a 5 to or even like 20-minute video that I've seen for others. Not trying to shit on anyone else's review. I'm just saying, as someone who needs something that's really quick and easy to consume, I really appreciate that. Next, the MCU University is back with X-Men Apocalypse 2016.
Yeah.
Really exciting.
It was a great time featuring friend of the show, Jacob McCourt. Shout out
Ooh.
Canada. Very fun time.
Nice.
And I, a little teaser for that one. I have some hot takes about that movie.
Oh, spicy.
That movie is not that good.
No, the hot take. I guess I'm spoiling it here. The hot take. I loved this movie.
Oh no.
Okay.
So go hear all my thoughts about how much I enjoyed that mess of the movie
Oh,
in
yeah.
MC University.
Nice.
At least you call it a mess. I mean, I'll take the wins where I can take them.
Yeah. My god. Next, the boys are back together. Model Citizens is back with a brand new episode released last week. I know it's not new since it was released last week, but it's new to us, so I just wanted to make sure that all of you know that. Definitely make sure to check that out. Really funny podcast, so definitely check that out when you have the opportunity to. And random side note, since majority of us are going to be in it tomorrow, Harv has an Uno tournament tomorrow, which is really exciting. Very chaotic.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm really pumped to be a part of it. I know for myself, didn't know how to spell a tournament to save my life. Just I can't handle it.
Yeah, no, that's 3:00 tomorrow. On my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/beer in the hair. And yeah, we have 16 people coming in. And there's gonna be 2 winners, one person first prize, second for the second prize. But yeah, there's gonna be 16 people joining in. There's gonna be some regular games, and there's gonna be some team games, and then yeah, it's gonna be fun. I can't wait. I wanted to do something with community based and something with like something that's like a lot of people want to play, and I feel like Uno is one of those things that a lot of people want to play because like there's a lot of RNG involved unless you read the rules where it says just get a good head, dummy.
Get good.
But I like the RNG base for it, and like try to I just the chaos of what the rule set is too. So I'm excited.
Nice. Awesome. Well, I'm very pumped. Hopefully, knock on wood, everyone's able to join us because Uno hates all of us.
Oh, Ubisoft hates all of us.
Yes, it is true. Ubisoft hates all of us. Thank you for the 1 month of GeForce Now because Stadia is now dead. Yeah. I guess a random other checkpoint. I recorded the very last episode of Speaking of Stadia this week with Jake and Aaron. Rest in peace. So definitely make sure to check that out. We are going to be.
May its memory be a blessing.
Yeah. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. But definitely make sure to check out that episode. We're going to be posting in the next few weeks what's going to happen. Because we plan on doing something else, but we haven't really talked about what we're actually going to do. So we'll get into that a little bit later on. So that was the checkpoint. Now we're going to be talking about everything that we've watched, everything that we played this week, listened to, read, whatever it might be. We're getting into this section here. So we're going to start off with what we've been playing. Since we have 2 guests, but one of our guests left our voice channel, we're going to let Lucas. What?
Yeah, throw me in there.
Absolutely. Why not?
Oh,
Get you right into
well, yeah, that's fair. Well, I got a pretty huge list, which is actually kind of odd for me, but I'll stick to the highlights. The biggest thing for me that I've been playing recently is actually it's kind of an old school Super Nintendo inspired RPG called Chained Echoes. It's on Game Pass, which is where I end up finding most of my games. I seem to very rarely buy games nowadays. It's either came to me on Game Pass or some other.
Now that big releases are also coming onto Game Pass,
Yeah.
it's really, really nice.
Exactly.
I'm really, really excited about that too. Yeah.
But I've always liked the idea, I think, of like JRPGs and stuff like that. But I have a hard time committing to get through games, so we'll see how far this one goes. But I've just been really impressed with this. It's quite pretty. I mean, it's pixel art graphics and everything, but for what it is, it's quite pretty. And I've just really enjoyed the battle system. I think a lot of thought went into it. Basically thinking, how can we take what people love about playing a Super Nintendo JRPG and kind of bring it into the modern age. Like one of the things that I've really enjoyed about it is after every battle, you just completely refill your health and mana and everything. So as somebody who suffers chronically from too good to use syndrome in games where I will just never use a potion because I'm always like, oh, I might need this in a future fight or whatever. Like
you still have potions.
Exactly.
I might need this later, though. I might need this.
I'm like the kind of person who will like travel 75% of the way through an area, and I'd rather go back to like heal at the campsite or whatever than like just drink a couple potions and keep going. So that's just so crippling for me. But yeah, so it also helps, I think, when they balance a lot of the fights. Like every time you get in like a fight out in the field, it feels like actually quite tightly balanced because you kind of have to go all out in every fight. You got to use all your abilities, and you can kind of feel free to do so. Rather than just kind of using your basic attacks and just going at it. So that's really nice. And the way they did the leveling also, I think, really helped them balance it because you actually don't have XP or anything. You don't level up. Basically, every time you do a boss fight, everyone in your party just gets a skill point, essentially. So it's a nice way of like, there's never any grindy sections because you're always kind of at the exact power level you need to be to get through the battles. But at the same time, there's a lot of tuning you can do you can upgrade your weapons and things like that. So you still have options to kind of level up your characters and switch out skills and things like that. But yeah, I've just been really impressed with it so far. I'm about 15 to 20 hours into it, I think, but give or take, because I spent a lot of time just sitting on pause menus and stuff like that. So it's hard to say exactly how much of that's actual game time. But yeah, it's just been a blast.
I haven't played a JRPG in a hot minute. I think the last one I played was, I would probably count Persona 5 as a JRPG, just how the sheer length of that game, honestly. That game brought me back into JRPGs, just the way you play the game, the way that it's set up. But that game still has that like anxiety feeling where I'm like, because like you go into a dungeon and you have like I think 20 game days to finish a dungeon. And every time you go in, one day goes past, and then you have to go back out and you can do other things. But I have this anxiety where like I have to finish in the next 3 days of finishing this dungeon because like I want to try to do this thing as fast as possible and try to get it done as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And then but it also has a thing where like it doesn't refresh anything that you have in there. So you're just like by the time you get to the end, you're just like, I'm battered, bruised. I have no MP left. I have no HP. Where the fuck? Come on, man.
Yeah. And in Chained Echoes, like it's quite nice. I feel every fight like does individually feel like you gotta tag out your party members because people get low HP, and like it always just feels like I don't know, just a really like well thought out fight. Like every single encounter's been great. So I'm just looking forward to. I've seen a few things. Like I have 7 party members right now. 8 is the max you can have because you can have 4 in the fight at once, and then each person can basically have a teammate they can tag out to. I've seen a couple things online where the party goes even beyond 8, so there's still more characters for them to introduce that I haven't encountered yet, and it's just it's just everything seems really well thought out. A lot
That
of the
sounds
characters.
like chaos.
It's it's not too bad because I mean, unlike Final Fantasy, like I don't know, 10 or something, where you can tag out to like any party member you want. You kind of before you get in a fight, you kind of have to pair everyone up. So you kind of have to think like, okay, this guy. I got one guy who does a lot of like debuff type stuff. So he'll drop the armor and drop the attack power of guys. So I'll start the fight with him, and then I'll have him tag out into like a healer guy because once the enemies are kind of debuffed, he doesn't really serve too much of a purpose right now. So he'll tag out a healer guy who can start trying to protect the party a bit. So, and there's lots of different combinations of the characters. Like, it seems like it doesn't seem like there's any like hard, like set way you have to play them. Like, there are some characters that, will do extra crit damage and another person will make other people more susceptible to crits. So you can use those two together, but you don't have to, because there's other combinations like that you can use them with. So, it's just it's been really fun to experiment with lots of
a lot more intuitive than like it's funny that you brought up Final Fantasy X because Final Fantasy X has like the whole system that brings it back. But the problem with Final Fantasy X is that you still only have your 3 characters that you'd rather use. Everybody else is very superfluous to anything. They're just fodder at this point, and then you have like the 3 main characters that you're going to be using, and then they're going to be your heavy damage dealers.
Yeah, exactly. So this one, it's nice because there's a lot of status effects as well. Like you'll get inflicted with stagger, which means that you have to tag that person out in order for them to be useful again. And the last part of the battle system that I really like is there's an overdrive meter. So as a kind of a counterbalance to just being able to just use all your abilities and everything you want all at once, you have this meter that has like 3 zones in it. So the bottom of it is like a neutral zone. In the middle is like a green zone where you want to keep the meter. And at the end is like basically a burnout section of the meter. So if you're in that red zone, you'll take like double damage, things like that. So you got to keep out of the red zone. But if you're in the green zone in the middle spot, all your spells cost 50% less, and things like that. So you have to constantly, like, using your abilities will move the meter up, but tagging in a new party member will move the meter down. So you have a lot of different things that you're trying to balance in each fight as well, which keeps it really interesting. Like it's a good game that I've been able to drop in, and even if I'm just going out into the field and doing one fight, I felt like it was like a meaningful interaction where I got to actually like think about what I want to do and how to approach it.
I've been trying to get Fee to play Persona at some point. I feel like that's a Fee ass fucking game. It's like it is anime to the max, but you also have to drop like 120 hours in that game. So like that's
I've always stayed away from that. I've never gotten into Persona, so
but you guys have the Steam Deck though, so that's a perfect Steam Deck game.
It's
it definitely would be.
What okay, if I had to hop into one
5 Royale.
Okay, I literally
5 Royale.
like a physical copy as well because our friend Justin lent it to me 3 years ago and I still haven't played it yet. So
just get added to Game Pass, I think.
You'll have Persona 5, but I'm talking about Persona 5 Royale, the new one that just came out.
But what's the difference between 5 and 5 Royale?
They added a new semester to Royale, and there's a new character that you get, and plus they added a lot of quality of life changes to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're right, Lucas. I think it is on Game Pass.
It is on Game Pass. I know it's on.
So
Game Pass.
So you might be able to just do it through like like the Cloud Play or whatever.
Well, yeah, we have it on the Steam Deck, and also the TV that we recently got actually has Game Pass like built into it. So that's how I've been playing video games the past week. So I could, you know what? After this podcast, I'll try.
It's great because you get to go to school, you get to study, you get to like go do a part-time job, you get yourself a waifu as well by the end of the game, and then you're also trying to help your cat. Your black cat, pretty much.
Okay.
You're trying to help
the cat. Cool.
Should have led with that one.
I do not want to go
Morgana
to school. Work a part-time job.
Morgana is your partner. Like that cat is like always with you all the time. Yeah, it's a tuxedo cat. Yeah. Great. It's great. It's a great game. Great game.
I'll have to try it. I have so many things, but I will try Persona 5 Royale.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what else have you been playing, Lucas?
Well, I don't want to eat up too much more time, but okay. I've also been playing Dave the Diver, which is it's just like a small indie game. It's in early access right now, but it's definitely a me kind of game. It basically every like 30 minutes they seem to introduce a new system in this game. The basic premise is you are a scuba diver. So you go underwater and you basically hunt fish, and then you bring it back, and in the evening you run a sushi restaurant by using all the fish that you've caught.
This reminds me of what the fuck's that game called? Moonlighter, I think it is.
Yeah.
Where you go into the dungeon, grab all this stuff, come back, and then you sell it during the day, and then you
Ye-
go back in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's I really like Moonlighter too. Moonlighter, I think they took like a lot of inspiration for those kinds of games. So yeah, you collect a bunch of resources like during the day. You do like these runs. I wouldn't call it roguelike necessarily, but it's got like the run structure of it where you keep going until you either fill your loot bag and come back or die, basically get knocked out underwater. So you do that, but so you start out, there's just the fishing element, and then there's the running the restaurant element, so you can hire employees and like upgrade your recipes and do all kinds of stuff like that. But yeah, they just keep I love like tons of interconnected little systems, and this game just does it like crazy. Like you get a nursery where you can kind of pick up eggs from fish, and then you can kind of have your own fish farm. You get all this like weapon system where you can collect parts and upgrade your weapons that you bring down with you. You eventually run into like underwater mer people who will give you quests that you try and help them around their little village. There's like boss fights and all kinds of stuff underwater. It just basically keeps adding more and more to it, but it's just very engaging because it feels like everything you do, like every action you're going like, okay, well I could bring up more fish to like upgrade this recipe, or I could spend money on hiring an employee, or I could spend it on upgrading my fishery, or I could spend it on upgrading my suit. So you always have like every resource feels like you can use it in 5 different ways. You have a lot of flexibility in the thinking about what you kind of want to tackle next. So it's very pretty. The underwater, they do like a mix of like all the sprites and stuff are 2D, but all the environments are like 3D, kind of low poly 3D stuff. And I really like that like old school kind of aesthetic. Looks really pretty. But yeah, that's the other game that's been eating up most of my.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, I've seen a little bit of it. The pixel art style I adore, mostly just because it's like pixel art in the front, so anything that's moving has pixel art, and then everything back of it is actually like more of a blurred realistic art style, which it looks fantastic. So yeah, it's so good. So I'm very excited. The part that I remember watching you play, and it was like this guy who had a weeb, like essentially an otaku dream where he was just like cheering on this girl, like this singer.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, this is very reminiscent of Yakuza. Like some of the stuff that you have to do in the Yakuza where you have to like click like a bunch of buttons to the music. Except this one was just like an actual fan chant. So they had the lights and you had to go like chant, chant, chant. And then the guy would like, sometimes you'd have to go like this and like move your arms around in certain ways. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't.
Yeah, they, like I said, there's just tons of like little mini games and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, the weapons dealer guy is like a big weeb otaku type guy. So he sends you on this whole side quest where he was getting like an anime figurine shipped to him, and the boat crashed, and the figurine got knocked off into the water. So you got to go like dive all the way to the bottom of the ocean to recover his anime figure before he'll help you any further. But yeah, there's just all kinds of branching stuff to do. It's quite engaging.
I can't. I simply cannot. We'll get back and we'll talk about some of the other games that you've been playing in just a little bit here. But before we do that, we'll ask Sly, what have you been playing this week?
Okay, so what I've been playing directly correlates to what I've been listening to. So I'm gonna combine these two. Sorry, not to totally derail everything you just said. But my good friend and co-host of Thirsty Thursday, JJ, recommended Rolling with Difficulty to me, which is tabletop RPG, D&D 5e, Planescape podcast, actual play. And it's really good. I'm having fun. The episodes are like hefty, but the seasons are like 8 to 10-ish, so it's not like huge time sink. It's really fun. Just like the energy at the table is really great. I'm super picky about my D&D podcasts, so like it takes a lot for me to like really sink my teeth into one, but this one, whoo boy, got its hooks in me, and it's been like taking up the majority of my free time, which means the things I've been playing are things I can do while listening to an actual play podcast. So I've been playing a lot of Cats and Soup. Like a lot. Most of my locations are around 5:15. I'm trying to get like my lemons up and stuff. I just got the aquarium. The aquarium is so cool. So yeah, I've just been spending a lot of times in Cats and Soup and a lot of time in Marvel Snap. I just got my 5th foil card, upgraded a card all the way, and then you get the new version with the foil, which is
Yeah.
really fun. And yeah, I think I finished the season pass, but I didn't pay for this time around, so I'm just getting the like free collectors chests or whatever at this point. But yeah, because it's something I could do while like processing a story. This has
Yeah,
been
for sure.
most of my video game time lately.
Yeah, that's normally it's the other way around. I guess most people, I think, probably play something and then have a secondary listening activity. But yeah, put on its head. Yeah, like I've always thought about. I always try to get into D&D podcasts. I'm not a huge D&D guy to begin with, like playing wise, but I always like the idea of it. But yeah, they seem like they're such a beast. Like looking at any, especially the big ones, like they just have lore and episodes stretching on to the sunset. So it feels like
Yeah,
it's just so
especially
hard to
ones
get over that hump to get into.
with like a big backlog and such an established fan base, like can seem pretty unapproachable. What
Yeah.
I've really been enjoying about Rolling with Difficulty is they try to be contained stories, and for the most part there's like an overarching season story, but every episode can stand alone for the most part. Like there's sometimes like a part 1, part 2, which is really nice because when you're listening to a 4-hour podcast,
Yeah.
being able to like as you're listening, you can walk away from it afterwards. Is season 3, I think. I'm currently at like in almost finished with the season 2 finale. Like I have like maybe 40 minutes and I had to stop it to jump on this call.
Oh man,
So I'm
brutal.
almost done with season 2. But yeah, like between that and Join the Party are like most of my D&D podcasting. But like again, I'm really particular about the energy around the table, and if I don't vibe with the energy, I cannot get through an actual play.
Yeah, it's like that. I mean, it's the same problem with even playing it. In my opinion, is like there's like a 10% chance in my experience that like everyone's really on the same wavelength, and it's gonna like be like a really enjoyable experience. Like there's so much that can be like a turn off for it, and with so much out there there's a lot of D&D podcasts and content out there, I think. So it's definitely, I'm glad you found one.
Every time I want to play D&D, never goes through because I want to try at least once. At least once.
Yeah.
But
We
never.
should just run a one shot.
I know.
Just-
Well, yeah.
The group of us, we should just commit to a one shot. Don't have to worry about like a big story or anything. Just have fun with it. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I'm super down. Cool. Thank you for sharing. Let's see. Did you want to talk about any of the games that you played this week, or do you just? Because I know you.
Oh no, those were the two. It was Cats and Soup and Marvel Snap.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, cool.
I spent my whole days on my phone playing and listening. Like that's been.
I feel like I played Cats and Soup once. It's like a little idle game, right? Basically,
Yeah.
like you upgrade and they're like making
I'm
soup
pretty
and other cats like
sure-
drop stuff in.
Fee mentioned it offhandedly once on a podcast. I
Yeah.
downloaded it, and then it sat on my phone for
Yeah.
months until I rediscovered it. And then I got really into it, and I was like, I have no idea where this came from. And Fee's like, oh, I played that a while back.
Yeah, I was just like, wait a second. I've definitely talked about this on the podcast before. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. I tend to have that, like, I will talk about like a game and then someone's just like, oh yeah, I started playing this. I'm like, oh cool, like I did too. And they're like, yeah, because you mentioned it. And I'm like, oh shit, that's sick. Oh my goodness. But no, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing on that. I know Marvel Snap has been taking, like, I usually try to play daily. So I'm not very good, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I play a lot of Snap, but I don't want to. I'm not going to hijack that conversation.
Oh my goodness. Well, you can talk about it if you want.
We'll get around to it, I'm sure.
Are you more like strategy game focused, or are you weird like me and is just here for collecting all the pretty things?
I mean, the sense of collecting is very enticing. Like I haven't felt like an overwhelming urge to like pay money to like get all the cards or anything like that, which I think is like a kind of dubious pressure that the game puts on you. But I like the actual card gameplay. Like I've always liked 1v1 card games. Like I played, like when I was younger, I played Magic the Gathering, as you know, I'm sure a lot of people have, and I've always like enjoyed the idea of card games, but Magic just is too expensive and crazy to keep up with, and for me. So I'm always on the lookout for fun new card games. Like I played Legends of Runeterra like crazy, which is the League of Legends themed card game. That's probably still my favorite card game that I've ever played. But this one it's just very accessible. It's just you know, got 2 minutes, 3 minutes, like just throw a game on and just play, and yeah, it's just it's so nice to have it in your hand.
The option of like paying for stuff and getting all the cool variants and all of that stuff, but I don't ever feel like obligated to. Like I have a ton of like gold I've earned that I'm like, if there's a really cool variant I really like, I guess I'll buy it. But I'm just like hoarding gold, I guess, at this point, and just like really like hammering home on my collector's level. I don't know, like I'm like, I gotta have the highest collector level.
yeah. I've just been like, I've actually there's an update coming out soon that's going to drop some cards. Like I don't know how in deep you go with all the actual mechanics of it, but some of it, like there's the series 4, 5, and 3 cards, or 3, 4, and 5 cards. So there's an update theoretically coming out soon, which will add the battle mode, which I'm very excited for. We should definitely have some PiP duels. But it's also going to drop some cards like down a series, so they'll basically be less rare, like easier to collect just by opening caches and stuff. So one of them, She-Hulk, which I out on spending tokens to get, but she's very good in the game. So I've just been saving up. I have 10,000 credits right now. I'm just sitting on. So as soon as the update hits, I'm just gonna spend a ton of credits, and that'll be fun. But
yeah, She-Hulk's my like go-to. Like essentially all my decks have She-Hulk in some capacity, just because she's such a good character.
Every time I get her from like a draw a random card or whatever, I'm like, this is so cool. I can't wait to get her.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and she's coming down to series 3, so she'll just be like super easy to get, like in a cache over time. Yeah, it'll be awesome.
Yeah, I remember like it was the first time when she was released. I was just like, oh man, She-Hulk's in my credit store, and so I bought her. And it's so good. And then I have a really cool skin for her too, and so it's just like creme de la creme, like every single time. No, but it's usually her and Double Dino are like my go-to specific cards that I like a lot, for sure.
I've been running, and Mario as well, been running a lot of Apocalypse, so the recent MC University was very topical for us.
Oh man, it's so funny. Like I have like, I don't even watch any movie. Like I don't watch any of the Marvel movies or do anything like that. So some of these characters, I'm just like getting introduced to them for the first time, and it's quite interesting. Like just looking them up afterwards and being like, trying to figure out like, you know, what the heck is an Infinite? Like I don't know any of these characters. So. I'm like, I know Spider-Man, Wolverine. Like okay, I've heard these names before. But
I will be honest, it was very like Uncanny Valley when I'm like in the kitchen making coffee, and then I just hear like Wakanda Forever from him, and I'm just like, what? I'm like, this guy never fucking watched like the fucking Marvel movie, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why are you just saying that? And it was like the new DLC at the time, and I'm like, oh my god, I was not prepared for Just random Wakanda forever.
Oh, man. Have you ever-
Worlds colliding.
Have you seen the like Wong? You play Wong on 4, you play Black Panther on turn 5, and then you play Arnim Zola on turn 6. Have you seen that combo?
Yes.
That's insanity.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Almost as disgusting as playing Galactus on turn 6. It just to have like only win by 1 point because they didn't play anything else in that.
Yeah, Galactus is pretty crazy.
Oh my god. I would never want to be on the other side of a Galactus for sure. But yeah, awesome. Marvel Snap, everybody. Definitely go check that out, especially since it's free. Free.
It is.
Yeah. Let's see. Harv, how's Sekiro going, buddy?
Ah, man, I almost had my personal best. So close.
Oh, no.
I almost beat 50 minutes. I just choked on the last boss, but that's okay. I'm still working on it. I'm still working on it. I'm gonna be working on it tonight at some point. So still gonna go through. I learned something about myself is that I have to be more patient. Patience
Ooh.
is because like I'm getting to the point where I got to the point where I was just being very impatient. I was like, I gotta get this. Like, no, it's all practice. It's all trying to like, go through the process over and over and over and over again, and then finally getting it. And I've watched some other stuff. I watched other people playing, and I've kind of gotten a little bit better with that kind of stuff. 1 second. You know what, Fee? You go first. 1 second.
Okay.
Take it away.
Brief Harv intermission. Remind us.
So let's talk about what I've been playing. So fucking random.
Sorry, I'll be right back.
No worries.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm just gonna start off by talking about the fact that I've been playing a lot of Game Pass myself. Mostly just because there's just been a few games that I've been interested in playing, and recently we finally upgraded our television. So it has Xbox Game Pass built into it. So I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna try out some games, especially since I now plan on I unlocked my Stadia controller, so it's now a Bluetooth controller, so I can just use it whenever I want to play anything on the TV or on my computer. So I decided to do that. I started off with Unpacking, just because I've always wanted to try that game. And so I played the entirety of it from start to finish. It is a freaking fantastic game. I will admit I got a little teary. It was just a really wholesome, really like nice game. Just overall, it was, if you haven't played it already, it's a story about a young woman from a very young age all the way up until a specific point in her life. And so it's just kind of like each move, random side note for myself, like about me, I don't handle change very well, just due to multiple things in my life. The idea of moving stresses the shit out of me. So playing that game kind of like helped me a little bit, and just like realizing like not everything has to be set instant. Like the second you put something somewhere doesn't mean you can't just like move it another time or like make any adjustments. You think that might be weird, but it's just my brain. So it's just like, this was a really fun way, and I really liked, I found at the end, you could actually click on a replay button where you could see every move that you made. So you could see like, oh, you like put the books on the bed first, and then you took them and put them in the living room, and just like the thought process overall. It's a very quaint, very cute game. Would highly recommend it. What's that?
The only thing I bought, I don't usually buy things at PAX because I'm so like running around with its head cut off. But the only thing I made sure I had to buy the most recent PAX was the Unpacking Penny Arcade.
That's so
pin.
cool.
That's so cute.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Unpacking's adored Unpacking. I loved it so much.
It's such a very like, not to get like too philosophical, I guess, but they definitely really did like an examination of like, people are more than like the sum of their possessions, obviously, but like it's crazy how there are certain things you just pull out of a box and like instantly you feel like you've unlocked like a knowledge of a facet about that character just based on the fact that like, oh, they kept this with them when they moved from here to college or from college to a thing, and this was important to them, and and also the things that are missing. You like, oh, well, this must have not been too important for them. So yeah, it's just everything you pull out of a box, like just like moving in real life, like packing everything and unpacking in this case, like it's it can be a very like emotional process, and you learn a lot about somebody based on what they keep and what they own.
Not to get too deep into it, but I played the demo for unpacking at first PAX Online, so it was during 2020, and then that September is when the wildfire, so I lost all my stuff. So by the time I played unpacking, it was like post this whole like losing all my worldly possessions and rebuilding that, and that story was like really healing to see like things can go away, you can get new things, some things remain the same, blah blah blah.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Nice. Not to hijack your segment or anything.
No. The other thing I found very amusing, because I watched Fiona play like the game from start to finish, and it was funny because her way of tackling these things is opposite as it is in real life. At least it felt that way to me. I'm the kind of person, like, if I'm moving or rearranging things, I basically round everything up and put it in a pile, like vaguely where it needs to go. So like if something needs to leave the living room and be put into the kitchen, I'll have a pile of things over near the kitchen that I'm like, okay, once I'm done here, I will go sort everything out there. When I played unpacking, though, I every time I picked something up, I like wanted to find its final spot for it right away. It's pretty much how I played that game, which is different than how I organize in real life. And Fiona was like the complete opposite. She would pull stuff out of boxes that if it like didn't belong in this room, like she would just like lay it on the bed, and then like so at the end of the level, like where it highlights a bunch of things in red for you that are like in the wrong spot, like that happened to maybe like, or what the game deems the wrong spot, I guess. But that happened to me like maybe once or twice through my playthrough, like one or two items that I was like, okay, well, like I would put it there, but I guess that's not okay with you, so I'll put it up in this cabinet or whatever. But Fiona, like the level, she'd unpack the final box, and like 50% of the items across the whole level would just be flashing red. I'm just like, it's not how you organize in real life. But it was quite a fun anecdote that it was just complete opposite of how both of us handle things in real life compared to how we handled it digitally.
Like it took a while for us to get unpacked here, because I am that person who's just like, oh, I found this random thing, and then I have to like go to the other side of the apartment and Luke's like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, oh, it's some forks, I have to take it to the kitchen. He's just like, we have so much other shit to be worrying about.
It's such a time waste. So like
you had to like walk over like 10 boxes to get. I'm like, it just in my brain, but in the game, I'm just like, I don't give a diddly damn. I'm just like, I put everything, like you said, I put everything out. No, I start freaking out when like things have to get moved around or things. I like hyperventilate, like I almost pass out. Like it's just not something, I don't deal well with it at all. Like this room, for people who are like familiar with the podcast, you may notice that things changed in this room. This changed overnight one night because I was just like, I went to sleep, I woke up, I spent my entire day out in the living room. I was hanging out there, and Lucas wakes up and he's like, hey, have you checked the office today? And I'm like, no. And he's just like, it's probably better that you didn't. And I'm just like, what do you mean? And he's just like, well, you want to go check it out? I'm like, yeah. And everything had been moved. And he's like, surprise. And I'm like, this is better that I was not a part of this. I would not have been able to handle any of this. But no, no, it was I definitely want to go back and play and see different things I could do differently. And yeah, it was just a very, I love small game. I love very narrative driven games. And even though there wasn't a lot written, you could definitely tell by the items, and like you both were saying, just like even the places that she was moving into, like, oh, why did she end up in this spot? And then like I was even saying, without spoiling too much, like when she was moving into a specific place, I'm like, this doesn't seem like her. This does not seem like this particular character. This definitely seems like a very young 20s, like you think that you've met that person, and this is not, like there was nothing jiving between the two. And then seeing what happens after that, I'm like, you know what, there's growth, there's character growth, and then going from there. So it was phenomenal. I would highly recommend it. The next game I played, I played it quite a bit this week. I played Little Witch in the Woods. I'm not going to go into it too much. But it is a very adorable story about a young witch who is planning to move to the big city. She has to kind of do her residency for 2 years, and so she was supposed to go there, and she's on the train and she's incredibly bored. Shocker, that sounds like me. And she's just like, mind you, I love trains. I like the idea of sitting on a train for 2 days and just watching the world go by, but this character does not like that. So she has a talking hat and she thinks like, hey, I'm just gonna go off the train because for some reason the train got stuck in the middle of the night. So the conductor is just like, hey, we're gonna leave in the morning, and she's just like, okay, that's fine, whatever. So she goes up because she saw this magical tree in the mountains, and then she finds a witch's house after following a white glowing cat. And she goes to sleep in the witch's cabin because she's just like, they're gonna be leaving in the morning, it's gonna be fine. And then she wakes up to the sound of the train like whistle going off, and she's like, oh my god, I need to get to the train, to find out the train had already left. Peace out. So now she has to stay in this small town and figure out what's going on in this area. What?
This has got like your face on the side of a milk carton written all fucking over it right here, dude.
What do you mean?
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a child that just gone and just went into a village and now is like just not on our train anymore. It's a loss. Nope.
Yeah, no.
Nope.
So she has decided to take up residence in this house, like the witch's home, because in this
How she
particular
just
world,
house squatting now at this point.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
the witch's house is like full of like cobwebs and stuff like that, so they don't know where the like head witch is of this home, and it's not being used. And she finds out that there's some crazy stuff happening in the town. That includes like these cursed vines that are entrapping all of these village homes and everything. So you're trying to figure out what's going on. It has kind of a Stardew vibe to it.
This looks fucking adorable.
It's
Yeah.
adorable. It is.
The art's super cute. It's definitely, you can tell it's in early access, so it is a little rough on the edges in some parts, but it's very like peaceful of like a just go out, collect resources, come home, make potions, fulfill like quests for all the different little townsfolk, and try and help them like rebuild their towns.
Yeah, and honestly, gonna be quite frank, it kind of like the relationship that the girl has with her hat is kind of the same like narrative that Lucas and I have on a regular basis, where she's just like, I'm gonna do something stupid, and then the hat's just like, probably shouldn't do that, why are you doing this? And then something blows up in her face, and then I'm just like, you know what, that's essentially Lucas and I on a regular basis, when I'm just like, hey, I'm gonna do something, he's like, okay, that doesn't sound like a great idea. And then I'm just like, why is the apartment on fire? And he's just like, maybe I told you so. So it's very much like that. I need a shirt that says I don't give a diddly damn. Okay. I will definitely keep that in mind. But yeah, that's
I already put it in the business chat. Don't worry.
perfect. Thumbs up. It's 10 out of 10. And the last thing I played, my boss, random aside note, is obsessed with Red Dead Redemption 2. So, as a joke, due to the fact that Red Dead was on sale last weekend, Frank gifted me Red Dead Online, and so I started playing Red Dead Online. What a wild game, everybody. I'm quite enjoying it. There are certain aspects that I'm not particularly fond of, but I have a horse named Tennessee. He is just a large chestnut horse that I ride around in the Wild West oh god. And then yeah, it's just like pure chaos. It's a little grief stricken in some cases. I did have the first person I ever met just lassoed me and started dragging me down the road, and then ran me over but with his horse, and then he shot me in the head when I rezzed again, and I was concerned for my horse because I thought my horse could die. He could not die because I have horse insurance, because apparently that's how the online game works, where if your horse dies, no worries, you got horse insurance. And then so that happened, and I was thoroughly impressed though, because there was a game like a group of people who found me getting like griefed on by this one person, and it was a group, and this guy who was griefing me tried to grief one of them, didn't realize that he was with 5 other people, and then he proceeded to get griefed into oblivion, and I watched on the hill with
We love to
Tennessee
see it.
just being like, this is fantastic, and then I logged out and I haven't been back, but it's quite fun. So if you play Red Dead Redemption online, hit me up, because it has been quite fun. I have to play with Frank at some point as well, but it's definitely like more of a vibe, like more what I'm interested in than like GTA. I found GTA like a little bit overwhelming because it's like really fast cars. People just randomly bring a UFO and then just hit you with it. Now I'm not going to say that doesn't happen in Red Dead, but it definitely has a different vibe, and I like more like, I guess, not over tech like stuff when it comes to stuff like that, and it's just a little overwhelming in GTA. And then you have to run a nightclub and you have to do all this other stuff, and I don't know, just like the vibe more of Red Dead. The end. I'll have more to talk about next week though.
I've been wanting to get into like I don't know, like I don't even know how to describe it, but like it doesn't necessarily have to be an MMO, but like something just like progression-y based, like that feels like you're kind of working together with people and like you can progress and stuff, but I just haven't figured out what exactly it is yet, what it's gonna be.
Once we figure it out. Yeah. But yeah, there's one more game that we'll talk about this evening before we get into what we've been watching, and that's Hi-Fi Rush, where our 5th special guest, like our special guest is from 808. It was a shadow release from Xbox, which was really exciting, and the same people who made Evil Within 2.
Both Evil Withins, 1 and 2.
Yeah, 1 and 2. What a wild, just like, we made all these horror video games. Let's make this really cute Borderlands / anime-esque video game that's very reminiscent of, what is it, the Necromancer game? Beat of the Necromancer? I don't remember the name of the game.
Dancer, maybe.
Oh my god, I'm so bad at that name. Every single time. I always remember Necromancer, and I don't remember anything else about that because I'm terrible at that game. But yeah, Dancing. Just the Necromancer. Just the dancing. But yeah, no, I personally have been really enjoying it. I'm not very good with rhythm games, even though I would say I understand rhythm, but those types of games, especially, I think it's because of the cloud gaming aspect, there might be a little bit of a delay, so trying to get on the beat when there's a slight delay with a rhythm game, you're kind of SOL. So there are certain times of day where it works phenomenally, and I just hit everything A-okay, no issues, and then the second that I get any sort of spike, there's just issues that way.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't seem like the best game for cloud, just because it is so like timing based, which is very hard. I think they did. I mean, even in their presentation and the game itself makes a pretty big effort to like also accommodate people who aren't like rhythmically inclined. I think, which I consider I'm not very musically inclined in any way, so I still found it very like engaging and entertaining so far. So I'm hoping.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what they do with it. I was kind of hoping that they'd have like more than just the like rock music that they have in it, mostly because I know that the studio that makes it, I believe they're based out of Japan, if I remember correctly, which I was just like,
Tango Gameworks
I'm
is
like,
Japan.
where's the J-Rock? Y'all have fucking amazing music. Where is that? I want to see that in the game, because I think that would be a really good introduction to people in the West, because we've seen a lot more being popped up recently, at least before I quit, or I didn't quit. I'm taking a hiatus from TikTok, but there was like a few like K-rock, K-pop, like not K, J-rock and J-pop music on the app that I was hoping that we might see maybe in a future update. It would be kind of fun to see, because I know that there are some that are fantastic, even like anime openings. So who knows? We'll see.
Have you checked like the full track list? I haven't even, like, because I don't even really know the music that much, so I haven't really checked ahead. But I kind of assumed each of the different like regions and like mini boss areas would have their own like theme a little bit differently. So I wasn't sure if it was going to change or not because I'm still in the first zone, I guess we'll call it. But
Yeah, right now the list that they have for the game is 1 Million by 9 Inch Nails, Perfect Drug by 9 Inch Nails, Lonely Boy, which was the one in the trailer, by the Black Keys, Invaders Must Die with by the Prodigy, Whirling by Joy, for Formidable, and then Inazawa Chainsaw, which is Number Girl. I don't remember if that is. And then
I mean,
they
none of these mean anything to me, to
well,
be
I know,
honest.
but and then there's also Wolfgang's Fifth Symphony, which is not a rock
Yeah.
song for sure, but
Yeah.
it's still not. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I was wrong. Yeah, Inazawa Chainsaw is J-rock.
Yeah, I figured they would change it up a little bit, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will say I haven't touched this yet. I don't know if I will. We'll see. But one of the coolest things I have seen about this game is they posted an accessibility guide, and
nice.
it details like every single accessibility option they provide, so you can like before even thinking about approaching it, you can go in knowing exactly how you can customize it to play it, which
Mm.
I think is just incredibly cool.
There's
Like
a
not
Yeah.
only the extent of the options, but that they're laying it out up front exactly what you can do before you even have to touch the game.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Yeah, I'm not like an accessibility guru or anything, so I wouldn't dare speak on the matter. But it definitely like from just approaching from somebody who just plays stuff like casually, it definitely felt like even just on the base like layer, like there's a lot of stuff that they were doing to just accommodate lots of different play styles and lots of different um, accessible like elements, like even just the fact that at any point, like I think it's the left bumper or something, will bring up the little bar at the bottom that like visually shows you the beat. Everything in the world kind of moves to the beat as it is, but like you can at any point like just toggle it with a single button to like kind of have yourself more of like an immersive experience, or if you feel like you need the like actual beat counter at any point, you just bring it up. So it's just a lot of cool little things. I definitely felt like they probably took a lot into account, but I never explored it myself.
Well,
Yeah, I think like
I'll continue.
the biggest thing for rhythm games in particular is like how do you visually indicate, and like a visual metronome is like such an easy solution and not a lot do it, so it's really cool
Yeah.
to see they have like such an immersive
Yeah.
metronome option. That's so cool.
Yeah, like when for example 808, the cat that's currently joining us this evening, will turn into a sphere that is beside you the entire, like once you actually get to 808, and they have a rhythm visualization, but it's horizontal. And so you'll kind of see it go like this. But then I found out, which helped me quite significantly, especially if I don't have my glasses on, you can change the way that the actual like rhythm visualization shows up. So rather than horizontal, you could have it just as a circle around 808, so then it's just a full circle moving, or it can be a kind of like horizontal, kind of like a cylinder, and then the sides just go like this, so it's very visually appealing and makes it a lot easier. But no, I was checking out the accessibility yesterday when I was playing, and there's a lot available, including things like the opacity for the black bar that like when it comes to subtitles, because some subtitles usually, especially in games like this, it automatically comes with a transparent background for your visual, like for the subtitles, which can be very difficult for some people. So you can change it to whatever you want it to be. You can make it as dark as you want it to be. You can make it invisible if you want to. There's also like action voice subtitles, there's context subtitles, there's actual like full-on action subtitles and stuff like that as well. So there's just so much that you can go and adjust if you want to go and do that in the game. So it's very, very well done accessibility wise, and I'm really happy, especially with it being just a shadow drop, that we see so much accessibility options, because usually, and I'm not trying to say that this happens with every game that's this happens with, but a lot of like shadow drop games or games that come quickly to market, you don't see as much accessibility. And so seeing that they took so much time and effort into the accessibility portion in this game makes me very excited to see what else we can see from that studio, as well as I'm hoping that this might become a set standard for games that are being released within Xbox, just because we have seen a few games come out recently from over the past year that have a lot more accessibility options, and even if they didn't
PlayStation does it a lot with their Last of Us, God of War.
For
When they came out, they have a lot of
And
accessibility.
I know Microsoft Studios has a whole team to like for their in-house studios to work with.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see a lot
The
more.
the
from them.
problem is that we haven't seen any Xbox game come out in the last like 2 years, so it's really hard to like really gauge that at this point.
Exactly.
So like
Yeah.
now that this game we got something that came out, right? So it's kind of nice to see that. One thing I want to say about I was gonna say High on Life, that's not right. Hi-Fi Rush. I keep saying Hi-Fi Fuse for some reason. That's what I'm thinking of. The one thing that I like about that game that they shadow dropped is the fact that they're allowed to make these kind of games. One of the big things that came out last year was Pentiment, which was a Obsidian game, and that game coming out from Obsidian, it was like everybody loved that game when it came out. Like everybody really enjoyed it. And the same thing with this one too. It's like, you know what, we can have these little games that come out from these bigger studios, because we know that Tango's not just working on this; they're working on something else as well. But they're allowed to do these kind of different games and kind of like have these little like these little experiences and these games that come out, and everybody's like, yeah, like this fills out Game Pass. Like this fills out what Game Pass is going to have.
That's the
big releases.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think the big pivot to Game Pass, like from a strategy standpoint, lets them do like, you don't have to worry about everything you drop selling gangbusters, because like as long as it keeps somebody, like, oh yeah, I'll renew my subscription because now I can play X, Y, and Z or whatever. Like I'm just enjoying this, and my subscription rolls over. Like that's mission accomplished as far as any of those games releasing. So like, yeah, definitely. I think it's given them a lot more flexibility to be able to drop smaller.
I wonder if this game would have the same hit if it wasn't Game Pass.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Like I wonder if this game would be what it is right now if it wasn't on Game Pass, if it had like a $40 price tag on it or something,
Well,
right?
It does.
It does, right?
It does on Steam.
Well, you can buy it elsewhere.
Yeah, you
but-
can buy it on Steam and on Epic. But I have heard really good things with it playing on Steam Deck, which I think this would be a really good Steam Deck game, just because if you don't have to stream like cloud gaming, which I'll probably try it on our Steam Deck. I don't have the purchase version with Steam, but just testing that out. But apparently it's fully Steam Deck compatible, which even having that capability, which you would assume that, oh, it's a brand new game, it should be Steam Deck compatible. There are still brand new games that are being dropped right now that have no Steam Deck compatibility, or it's just a huge massive, like, who knows if it's going to work or not. So I'm happy to hear that it is working on more than just like obviously Game Pass and then also on the PC, but it's also working on the handhelds as well.
That's good on them to do that. Honestly, it's good on them to make it Steam Deck approved.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like it's not a game I would have ever bought or picked up or played if it wasn't on Game Pass. So like I could at least attest to that. Like
I'm not gonna. I wouldn't have played it at all, but I'm playing it this weekend because it's on Game Pass.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it gives just everyone, you can just try and just give it a go, and it's just so nice to have that option.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. But yeah, that is what we've been.
Before we go, there's a little game that I want to talk about. Okay, a little game that I want to talk about. It's very. I've never heard about this game before, like last week.
I forgot about this. Yep.
And I played this game for the first time. This game takes the roguelike aspect and crosses it with running a kitchen. This game is called Plate Up, folks. Plate Up. This game is so fucking good. Like, it is so good because you get to so you have 15 days you have to get through. This is like think of like a roguelike where you have to get from start to finish, and then when you finish, you have a bunch of your stuff in your locker or whatever, and you can like take that into your next run, right? So each run is 15 days, and every time you get further and further, you unlock something new, and to make your things run smoother, for example, right? You get to rearrange your entire restaurant. You get to rearrange your kitchen. You get to rearrange the tables. You get to like see like how many people are going to be sitting at the table and all that kind of stuff. This game is so addicting. It's so much fun. And I feel like more people need to play this game. I know a lot of people already play this game, so I know this probably I'm just preaching to the choir at this point, but like, damn, it's a good fucking game. It's a good game. I'm not a big roguelike person, but like there's two games that have hit for me. Hades and this one. Which are two gigantically different genres when it comes to content.
Yeah, I love roguelike stuff. And I also love, like, I don't know what to call these, but like these chaos co-op type, couch co-op-y type things. Like, I love all those games. Like all the Cook Serve Deliciouses. There's Space Lines from the Far Out, which is like this, but you are running like a space airline. So you gotta like install chairs and like you pick up passengers and like you're feeding them like dinners on the fly, but your ship's like falling apart the whole time. So there's like all these games like this. Like I love that whole genre of game. There's probably a title for it out there somewhere, but yeah. So I'm really glad you like played up. It was so much fun watching. You just like lost track of time.
Dude, I was oh my god, yeah, I was like 4 in the morning trying like we were just playing this game. I love Overcooked as well. Overcooked is one of my favorite games, but this game just overtakes Overcooked because we have that like that aspect of like messing stuff around. You can kind of do it the way you want to do it.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the things that kind of takes it over for me. But again, Overcooked is a really good game too. I recommend Overcooked as well. But Overcooked is more of like it's the Mario, right? It's like you go to World 1, World 2, World 3. This one is like the Hades version of like fucking cooking food, where you're making pizzas and you have like once you get a freezer, you can store the pizza, so you don't have to worry about making more pizzas later on if you ever get into trouble. It's just really really well done.
Yeah. And there's so much to unlock too. Like, you haven't even scratched the surface, I don't think. But you get all kinds of conveyor belts and automation.
Yeah, I was watching I was watching somebody, they were like automating the entire thing, and I'm like, what? Like the person was just standing there doing nothing, and everything was just getting made. I was just like, oh my god,
yeah, there's
crazy,
some crazy characters. And the dev has also been really good. Like, there's been a ton of free updates like since its launch, which is really always awesome to see. But like they've added tons of more recipes, like, and new decorations and all kinds of stuff for different holidays and things. So it's been really cool. That is
great game. Recommend it.
Yeah, you two should play it. Mostly because like every so often Lucas is like, "You want to play Played Up?" and I'm like,
"You have something against Played Up? Is there a problem?"
I don't know.
She doesn't like it.
You like Cook Delicious or whatever the hell it's called, right?
I love Cook Serve Delicious. This is not Cook Serve Delicious, by the way. This is different. This is plays different. Mind you, am I good at Played Up? I would like to say yeah, I am. I always play the server and I fucking rock it from start to finish. And I think like Lucas and I have beaten it twice. And we also played with Lucas's brother Alex during the Christmas
Cook Serve, right?
No, Played Up.
Oh, Played Up. Okay.
It would Played Up. So y'all should play. I will be happy to watch you two play this, and you guys can play with other people. I will just randomly hop in and just randomly eat at your restaurant, and then you can just judge me again for not eating red meat like you did with Hapro on your freaking stream. And on that freaking note, since Sly is taking a quick hop away, I thought this would be a great opportunity to start talking about what we've been watching. And I know the three of us have been watching The Last of Us. So there's 2 episodes currently. Oh my god, there's just the thing is hopping all around in the show notes. But
that was me.
Okay. But yeah, we've been all watching The Last of Us. Oh my goodness. So far, and I don't want to go into it in too much depth because obviously I don't want to I want to avoid spoilers. But
it's weird not spoiling this show because the game has been out since 2000 whatever.
Yeah. 2013, yeah.
Yeah, so like it's so hard. It's been out for 10 years now at this point. But I understand. I understand.
Yeah, it's just like I
It's like people. It's like people with Final Fantasy VII remake. It's like I can't spoil Final Fantasy VII remake. Final Fantasy VII's been out for like 30 years at this point.
oh my god. And oh my I've just been really impressed. And you know what? I'm going to talk about one particular point of it. The beginning of the frickin' episodes have been so
They're my favorite parts.
on like I honestly I could take the rest of the show is phenomenal, don't get me wrong before you come at me. But the beginning conversations and getting more information about that world has been so phenomenal. Like the beginning, I know you guys talked about it last episode with the two scientists going onto that talk show and discussing like what would have to happen for a specific like apocalypse or like this pandemic to start. And
Yeah, the cold opens.
the cold opens.
Yeah.
The cold opens
Yeah.
been so freaking good. And then just this last episode where they bring in this doctor, like a doctor / professor from university, and they get her thoughts on what's happening. It's agreed. Carlos in the chat says so haunting. It is terrifying to the point I saw someone post on Twitter that they're actually a microbiologist and they went to their boss to talk about what's going on in the show and the setting and the premise. And he's just like, that's terrifying because it's so accurate. Like, this is what would have to happen for something like this to occur. And it's so well done. By the way, the actors killing it. Yeah, the
Bomb.
The bomb.
Yeah. No. I have loved the series so far. I think what everything that they've tried to do with the show, they've nailed so far in the show. I'm very excited for the next episode because we get Frank and Bill, which I'm very, very excited about. It's somebody that is very interesting in the game, so I'm excited to see how they portray that. It looks like they go back and forth, which is kind of cool, from the past to the future, which is neat. I think they're interweaving it together. It just got renewed today for the second season for The Last of Us. So I guess the second season apparently is going to be part 2. So it's gonna be the second game, which is gonna be interesting of how they do it, because like how that game is structured, I don't know will work with TV or how they're gonna do it with TV. Because of like how it goes from the beginning. You do that part back to the beginning or back to the beginning again, and then go forward again. So we'll see how that one goes. But yeah,
I'm gonna have to ask one of you, either in the audience, people listening to this after, Harv, Sly, if you want to stream it, by all means. I need one of you to stream this game because I already had the first
part 2?
Part 1, like part 2. I already know what happens in part 1 because someone asked me to join their stream a number of years ago. I hopped onto their stream and checked it out, and it was the last 30 minutes of the fucking Last of Us game. And so I don't know what happens in 2. I know for a fact there was a lot of controversy associated with it.
There's no controversy. People are just being dumb. There's no controversy. They're just like, people think like it's like they didn't want it the way they wanted the story to go, and so the people are being mad about that. I think that's what it is.
You know, there's 2 words. That's life.
I think because people didn't want it to go the way that the people created the story, because like it's not a story that you can change anything. It's a story you just experience. That's the way that I see The Last of Us. That's the way I see God of War, The Last of Us, all the other games. It's like you're not dictating anything in the story. You're just experiencing the story.
Yeah, for myself, it was just more on the lines of like seeing a voice actor being blamed for the actions of the creators of the show was a little bit.
I'm just talking about the game itself. I'm not talking about the stuff around the game.
Oh,
I'm talking about the game
talking
itself.
about what happened with Laura Bailey, because that was just.
Yeah, no,
100%.
Yeah. That was really bad. Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
no. I like I said, I don't know what happened in that game, and for that reason, yeah. So I'll definitely have to check it out, see what's going on. Because I personally, I don't plan on playing it. It's just not my type of game. I
I don't
tried
know
to
if
play The
I've
Last of Us.
I don't know if I'm emotionally ready to go back to The Last of Us Part 2 again.
Son of
Because
a bitch.
I have never went back to that game.
Son of a bitch.
I played that game once, and then I never went back to it. And I was like, I want to get the platinum, but I could never put myself back into that world again.
That's
I
fair.
was just emotionally drained after it.
Yeah, no, I definitely, like I said, I don't plan on, I tried to play The Last of Us. I could not play The Last of Us. I made it to, actually, fun fact, I made it exactly where the second episode ended. That is where I finished my gameplay of The Last of Us. So where we ended off the last episode, I do find it very interesting that they changed that particular scenario up from the raiders in the, I guess, the town hall / courthouse to what happened in this latest episode. But I'm very interested to see. Sorry, hair is being weird. It's just, no, overall, I'm interested to see where they take the rest of it. I'm personally just really excited because it gives me more hope for zombie related content, because I gave up on it a long time ago. I've just, over the past few years, I've been so burnt out on zombies that I just could not get interested in anything coming out zombie related. And it just, no interest. And so this is actually getting me back into it, mostly because we're getting to a realm where it's feeling more realistic. I just, before we continue, I just want to get Lucas's thoughts, because I know I told him to watch The Last of Us, and I was just like, hey, you should watch this before coming on the podcast. What do you think of the first 2 episodes?
Well, I only watched the first episode. I haven't got around to watching the second one yet. But yeah, I mean, I like it. I only played the first Last of Us, and it was way back when it came out. So my memory of it, other than the major plot points, but it's not something that's I don't know, super fresh in my mind or anything. So I've enjoyed it so far. But I don't know. It's definitely well put together. I don't know. It's hard for me to give an opinion after one episode. I'm more curious how much of it is put together to for people who've played the game to watch, and how much of it they thought about it as just going to be its own standalone experience. So I'll probably watch it. I just not something I was interested into it leading up anyway. So I don't know.
Fair. Yeah.
I thought I was going to watch it eventually. And then we got the announcement for season 2, and seeing my gut reaction to hearing that, I don't know if I'll even start the first season. I haven't played these games. Like Fee said, they're just not my cup of tea in general. But the experience of being a visibly trans person online in the game sphere when part 2 dropped was not pleasant or comfortable, and I had to do a lot of emotional labor around my existence because of the culture of games when that happened, and that was really soured my opinion on the franchise. So I think this is one I'm just going to accept that I'm going to skip, and I really want to enjoy it. I want to advocate for more video game adaptations. I love that we're finally seeing the viability of video games stories being told in other mediums, and that's being legitimized. So I really do want to support this. This is just not the franchise I think I can do it with.
Yeah,
Valid.
That's fair.
So,
Yeah. Well, no, I really appreciate you talking about that. Like I said, I personally, I don't recall anything about The Last of Us 2, mostly just because there's just, and this is going to sound very, I imagine it's going to sound very rude. There's just so many other things on my radar that it just did not stick with me or resonate with me at all, that to the point where I'm just like, and it's probably going back to the zombie fatigue and just like there's so many other things that I'm more interested in. I'm very curious to see what they do with it because they do seem to be sticking with the story, but then also like moving away from it as well. So there could be changes. I'm not going to say that that's going to happen, and I don't want you to go into it expecting something to change. And so I don't want to say like, oh, it's going to change, like totally, blah, blah. No, I'm not going to say that, but there have been a lot of changes in the show compared to the games, from at least my knowledge and my, like, I guess just overall knowledge of the game. So hopefully they learned from the reaction, because I do remember people's gut reactions when The Last of Us 2 was released. So hopefully they make the correct adjustments to be able to rectify that specific scenario, because I don't think it's going to do well if it continues to go down that particular path. But yeah, no, definitely appreciate that. Like I said, I appreciate you sharing that with us. But yeah, let's get into something that you've done over the past week, Sly. How was Lone Star season 4?
Is this the one with Rob Lowe?
This is the one with Rob Lowe.
Okay.
And
I saw commercials for
Rob
this.
Lowe have a week. So yeah, Lone Star 911 Lone Star season 4 premiered this week. It's moved to Tuesdays, which I think is an excellent choice, so that OG and Lone Star are no longer competing back to back on Monday nights. That's been great. This episode had a lot. There were choices made. There was bold choices. There was a lot of claims that the choices made have been set up since season 1, which is just like not true. But good for you. There was a storyline that I'm sure might have been mentioned in the writer's room at the beginning or something, but it was never on screen. And they've been like, we've planned this since the beginning. And I'm just like, no, you haven't. But okay, whatever. Not the point. The point is, Rob Lowe has been Rob Loweing the past couple seasons of Lone Star and making some choices, and his character's been doing some things. And they really came to a head this episode, to the point where, as somebody who has personally avoided 911 Twitter for the life of me, not tweeting about it, not interacting with it on Twitter, if you want my thoughts on the season 4 premiere, you can go to my Twitter to see my tweets about Rob Lowe's character, and the choices they made with him in that episode. It was not surprising, but it was disappointing. That's
Wait,
all I'll say.
is he getting like written out of the show, or is he still in the show?
God, I wish. Oh God, if they wrote Rob Lowe out of
has Rob Lowe lost his
immediately
cachet?
No, okay. So much of the problem with 911 as a franchise is the audience is split between an older, more conservative crowd and a younger, more liberal crowd, and balancing those two reactions. The problem with Lone Star of like season 3, season 4 era is that they have forgotten what the definition of ensemble show is. And it's been to the detriment of the show that Owen Strand, which is Rob Lowe's character, has to be involved in every single storyline, basically. And it's just oversaturation. He's getting into storylines where he doesn't need to be, and it's taking away from the incredibly talented, wonderful, rich ensemble cast they have behind them. And like, I joke about wanting him written off.
I have a question. Is
Rob
Lowe from the first one, and now he's gone to the second one?
No.
Okay.
So the premise of the second one was Rob Lowe's character was a firefighter in New York. Something happened with his son. He gets a job offer to rebuild a station in Texas. and he takes it. And so him and his son moved to Texas to rebuild a firehouse that had a big tragedy. They had most of their crew die. And that's the setup for the show. So it has very little connection to 911 character-wise. They've done like some crossovers, like the characters like know each
Yeah.
other, but like story-wise, it's
It's like the
very-
CSI crossovers that you would get from like the different
Mhm.
cities and
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I want Lone Star season 3 to fricking come on Disney Plus, because
Mhm.
there's like no way for Canadians to watch it without downloading it illegally, and I don't want to do that. I just want to watch it on
When
Disney
it
Plus.
does, Fee, I need your reactions to season 3, episode 5.
Okay, season 3, episode 5. Absolutely, Disney Plus, get on your shit. That with
Movie
that
night.
also Abbott
Disney Plus, get on
Elementary.
your shit.
Just that and
Yes.
Abbott Elementary, because season 1's on there, but they haven't uploaded season 2, and I'm like, come on,
Mhm.
I just want to watch these shows. What are you doing? And then it's just like, usually what happens with 911 is they usually release it in May or June on Disney Plus, and they did that with 911. But they didn't do that with Lone Star. What the fuck am I supposed to do now? Are they just waiting until season 3 and they just like dumped 2 seasons? Which, like, I wouldn't complain.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, who knows?
Interesting. Yeah.
Damn you, Fox.
I do want to say I haven't watched it yet, but shout out to Accused. I'm so excited to check it out. Marlee Matlin directorial debut. The one thing Fox did right.
Oh, yeah. I yeah. I'll have to check that out as well. There's so many shows to check out currently.
Yeah.
I
too
gotta
many.
start season 2 of White Lotus soon here
Oh my goodness.
at some point.
That's like
I wish I could watch more stuff. Like I'm just incapable of like putting something on in the background and doing anything else at all. So like I'm always so behind on TV shows, movies, anything like that, because it's like a dedicated activity I have to put 100% of my time into.
Yeah,
But I feel like everyone else is just like, oh, like I'm doing this, like I'm
I've
putting this on while I'm working, and
I've gotten away from it now. Now, like the most shows I'll watch is when Fee puts it on when we're working or something, and then she'll
Yeah.
just put something on, and then, like that's the extent of like shows that I'll watch now at this point. Because like, one, it's such a commitment to watch these shows,
Yeah.
and two, I don't watch movies very often because like I feel like I don't get that much fulfillment out of movies when it comes to like compared to TV shows. Because with TV shows, you can have a character and you can like have this arc, and this
Yeah.
arc feels satisfying to have like after like a whole season kind of type thing. In a movie, it's like 2 hours. You're like, well, okay, I guess that was something. I guess we went through something there
Yeah.
for a couple hours. So yeah, it's the problem is time. It's time consuming. That's where I am.
oh,
But when I get
everything.
into a show, I fucking get into a show. That's the problem too. I have that addicting personality when I get to that show, right?
Yeah.
And it's just
I
like,
feel
and
you
then
there.
yeah, and I'm just like, I'm on this Reddit. I'm on the fucking YouTube videos afterwards.
Same.
On the wikis, you're just going through the icebergs. You're doing all this.
Like,
Oh my God.
it drives me slightly nuts sometimes because like Lucas and I, like we watched one recently and it was called Pressure Cooker. It's a Netflix show and it's really great. It's like if you took Big Brother and made a cooking show out of it. So you have like 12 chefs go into a house each week or each like time they get voted out, and there's like secret testing, like taste testing, all this other stuff. And Lucas like can't handle watching more than like 2 episodes where I could watch the entire season in one sitting. And so
this is the big thing between Fee and I as well. It's like she'll put on like The Circle, and I'm like, that first time we watched The Circle, I was fucking addicted. This second season, I'm like, I have zero interest in any of these people.
Oh, it's so bad. This season
It's-
apparently gets good again with the latest season. Apparently the latest season's like really good, but like this season that we've been
Do
watching,
you
like
think I'd be able to tolerate the latest season of The Circle? I haven't watched any of The Circle, but one of the deaf creators that I follow, I'm a fan of, was
Yeah.
on the latest season, and I'm like, would I even be able to sit through the show?
Sly, here's what I will do for you. I'm going to skip
Okay.
the rest of the shit, which is the last few
Okay.
seasons, and I will watch the latest season. I will give you a rating out of 10 next week because it's probably
Love
going
it.
to only take me a
Perfect.
week. Perfect. We're good.
Thank you. We
Oh my-
love to see it.
I'll watch it tangentially through.
Yeah.
No, it's just no. But on the random side note, it's just like Lucas. What he'll do because Netflix loves to do this. They're just like they'll get to like the very end of the episode, and so obviously there's certain things that it's just like we don't know who's getting voted out or like what's happening, and Lucas is just like turns it off. I'm like, no. We're gonna find out who gets voted out, and then we'll do whatever you want to do. Like, if you want to go play board games, do you want to go play video games? We'll go do that. Just let me have this 10 minutes to find out who gets
Oh my
eliminated.
goodness.
Or like,
but
we'll-
that's like so much of the enjoyment is like then you can spend the next day or two or however until you get
No,
back to it thinking like,
absolutely not.
oh, like all the machinations that have gone on,
So,
and
like-
trying to
so, like,
see it all figured out.
So the question is
Fiona's like, no,
has-
I gotta watch.
So the question is, has the Netflix model have been a detriment to the formula that is the reality show, where you get something after every episode, but you can't ruminate with it after every week?
here's the
Yeah.
thing. I used to be a die-hard Big Brother fan. I watched Tuesday nights, I watched Wednesday nights, I watched
Oh my
Thursday
God.
nights, and then I watched Saturday nights for the HOH competition.
Okay, so my
Yes.
sister. Okay, side note: my sister picks. We're gonna go see my parents on
Yeah.
Sundays. My sister picks me up, and we go see them. And then she's like, "So like, what have you been watching?" And stuff like that. She's like, "I've been watching Big Boss or Big Brother India." I'm just like, "Oh my fucking god!" And then for the next like 30 or 45 minutes, I'm sitting there listening to her trying to just explain to me Big Brother India, and I'm like, I
So
can't. I just
good.
can't.
Guys, I was like obsessed. I watched it every night. I was like on it like gangbusters. I wouldn't like you could not like I think from like season like 4 to like 12 or 13, I watched it consistently and I was a diehard fan. And so like that stuff I loved. And now I'm just like, wait a second, I don't need to wait. I can just watch all of it now. I'm just like, why not? And so like I just have a problem. This is why I was able to watch Downton Abbey in like 3 weeks. I was just like watch like every time.
Well, the thing about Downton Abbey, it's old now though. Like, so you can.
Correct. But like
It's
even
not like you're catching up like Sly and I did when we had to like wait every single time where a new season came
I
out.
didn't watch it until season 6 was out.
Oh no,
I got to
I
go
waited.
through all of it.
Oh,
I
I
watched
had
it
to
like
wait.
mid high school.
so
Yeah.
like I like for me
The
personally
last 2 seasons I had to wait, and it was brutal every single season.
I watched Downton through the like complete box set that my best friend Shelby had.
Oh,
Classic.
envy.
Not only have I did it like last Friday, that 90s show came out. I'm not even going to talk about that 90s show until later on. I watched the entirety of that 90s show on Friday, and then I'm 1 episode away from finishing The Japanese Macabre by Junji Ito. And that was in the span of 48 hours. And I don't care. Like, I consume content so quickly. It's just, I have to have something on at all times.
So I came to a realization, yeah, because you went through Seinfeld in fucking like a week and a half, and there's like 300 episodes of that.
Yes.
So where I had the eureka moment, why I don't binge stuff anymore at this point, where I don't like binge smaller things, things that have like 8 episodes or like 7 episodes. It was Sons of Anarchy. When I watched that show from start to finish, and I have no idea what the fuck happened in that show. I couldn't even tell you what happened because I was just going episode. I can't even tell you what happened the first 2 seasons. I don't know. I have no idea. I could rewatch those 3 episodes, like the first 3 seasons. I could tell you these are all new to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I just forget everything because like I can't process it. I just keep going.
Oh.
No, I just like I don't know. I like it's one of those things. Like the genie's definitely out of the bottle, and like I don't think it'll ever go back to like sometimes some releases do like like even The Last of Us is putting out 1 episode at a time or whatever. Like because the way it with being on HBO.
The
and stuff, but-
Marvels.
yeah, but like I do think some just the dumping the whole series at once onto like a streaming service. I don't know. I wish it wasn't like that because I really enjoy like having the conversations. Like I remember growing up watching Survivor or even like more even stuff even non-reality stuff, like even just like we watched Dexter, for instance. That was a big one that my family watched, but it was just like fun being able to like speculate and stuff for like a whole week and like really kind of digest it.
I love that stuff. I remember watching Deadwood back in the day when that show came out, and just watching like 2 episodes, and be like, "What do you think is gonna happen to the 3rd episode?" You can have this conversation that'll dictate pretty much like half of the week, and then by the time the conversation is over, we're ready for another episode. We're ready for another episode.
So I much more enjoy that style of content. Like Fiona says, like if we watch 2 episodes of something back to back, like I'm like tapping out by the end of the 2nd episode. I'm just like, that's enough for me. Like I want to like sit and think on it, and like it can build up, and tomorrow like I could be thinking about it throughout the day, like we'll check out that episode like tonight or whatever. I don't know, I just prefer that paced out like style of content.
I can't handle it. It just stresses me out now. But yeah, what else have you been watching, Lucas?
Well, you and I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once. I guess that's the other big thing to talk about. Have you guys seen it, Sly?
I have not. Oh wait,
I have not. I really want to. I just have been in a place where like the amount of like the types of stories I can handle are really limited, and I want to save it for when I can enjoy it and savor it and appreciate the story. So I've been holding off, but I'm just like so happy to see everybody loving and enjoying it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I won't talk too much about like any specifics, but it was like when we were getting our new TV. Like we were like, I was on the hunt for something like to watch, like when we first got it, and I was like, I want something 4K and whatever, like to something that would be like pretty spectacular to watch. And I settled on that because Fiona and I almost went to see it in theaters a couple times and just never picked a date to go to do it. So it was something I'd been thinking about for a while, and then it won like in whatever award it won, like pretty much right as we were getting our TV too. So I was like, okay, this feels like the right time, the right thing. So yeah, it was just really good, really engaging movie. Like for the actors, it's like I guess some of what it's about, and I don't want to. I'm trying not to spoil too much without going too.
Well,
crazy,
the most that I saw of this was on an airplane when I was coming back from Boston. I was sitting behind somebody that was watching it, and that's how I watched it.
Oh, nice.
So I watched it through
cinematic experience.
Yeah. I just watched it through subtitles and no audio whatsoever.
Yeah, well, like without getting too much into it, like it's got this whole like multiverse type thing going on with it, and it was just really like it was really a tour de force for a lot of the actors, I think, to like play different versions of themselves from like different universes essentially, but like just through their acting and through their mannerisms alone, like you got to know like, hey, this is the Raymond from this universe, and you could tell like him just switching his posture and stuff immediately. Like it was just so really engaging to watch the actors like play out all these characters, like different, like just slight variations of the same character, but still, they just nailed all the nuances for all that stuff.
The guy, it's Raymond, right? That's in there. Yeah, he's short round, right? From the old Indiana Jones, and then he's that's him.
He's also in the Goonies,
Goonies, that's where he was also,
Yeah, so that was, and the other again, I'm trying not to spoil too much, but the other thing that was really engaging for me, I find I'm I guess not a stickler, maybe I'm a stickler, but I find it very hard to enjoy stuff when they're just like hand wave away a lot of like magic or like superpowers or things like that are just like, oh yeah, this is how this universe works or whatever. Like I have that kind of hang up when it comes to like Harry Potter, for instance. Like I never grew up with Harry Potter stuff, and anytime I see stuff from that universe, I'm always just like, okay, like I get that there's some rules to this, but it also just feels like whatever rules are going to apply at any given time is just what's convenient for the characters in that scene. So it drives me crazy.
Is great as a 3rd grader.
Yeah.
And if you didn't experience it at like a 3rd grade level, I don't think I understand why people don't have like a love or affection for that series if you experienced it like at any
Yeah.
other age.
Yeah,
There's like
exactly.
why are these chess pieces just moving? What is
Why
happening
don't you
right now?
why don't you get off the horse and
Yeah.
but yeah. So but yeah, so like this one dances that line of like I think they approach everything in a way that like makes sense within this universe or multiverse, I guess. But at the same time still have it be like whimsical and fun and like and exciting and like things can change on a dime and stuff, but it always feels like they got there in a logical way or they got there in a way that like made sense within the characters, that how the characters are acting and what the characters are capable of and stuff. So it always felt really cool. If anything, like it was like Harv said a bit earlier, it was a little almost accelerated. Like it felt like if this was like a 10 episode series, they could have done a lot more with it, but it felt like, you know, getting from point A to point B to point C in like 2 hours or whatever it was. Like it felt like, okay, they kind of definitely like pushed this forward faster than you might have expected in some ways, but it was super enjoyable.
Yeah, I absolutely love the movie. As someone who has had a little bit of a rough relationship with my own mother, watching this movie, really like I can hands down say I cried for a solid hour after this movie. Like I couldn't stop. Like I was even like trying to like stop in some. Absolutely not. It was just so well done, and I also agree with Seth in the chat. Ki-hoo Kwan, who played Waymond in the actual movie. I am so freaking happy we're seeing this renaissance of him and Brendan Fraser, because
Yeah.
it's just these two are such like beautiful people. Like they are so humble, they are so kind, they're just happy to be there and being included in the conversation, and seeing them interact with these like famous there was an interview recently and it was like actors interviewing actors, and it was
The Adam
just,
Sandler one?
yeah, the Adam Sandler, and then they also had Colin Farrell, and just like all these actors who were like, we love you, and they're just like, no, like I love you, like I don't understand, like they were on the outside, and then seeing them like join back in and being like recognized for all their phenomenal work, and then finally getting like their name out there. Like he had a whole he talked about the fact that he like was like he just didn't get any jobs for 30 years. Like he tried his best, like he was consistently trying to get his name out there, and he just felt like he was going to give up because just no one was giving him an opportunity. And then once this movie was being created and they're like, we want you, and he was like, just seeing them reacting, and then oh god, it's just beautiful to see their relation. Even like in the awards, like it's award season, and those two, like they every time they see each other, they're just like, oh my god, and like they act like they haven't seen each other, even if though it's been like 2 days since they've seen each other, because they did some sort of press release, or they did something in regards to like the Oscars or the Emmys or the Academy Award, like whatever it was. Those two are like constantly at each other's hip right now, and it's just really nice. And then obviously Michelle Yeoh is phenomenal in that. She was so good in Crazy Rich Asians, and then seeing her in this movie, it's just like a completely different side of the character, like how she can act, and like just the broad spectrum of who she is. And Stephanie's acting as well is also insane. Obviously Jamie Lee Curtis doesn't, like, you don't even need to like say anything about Jamie Lee Curtis because she's just really fantastic. But no, just overall, this movie is hands down one of my favorite movies I've seen in a very long time. And this comes from someone who watches stuff regularly, so I can hands down, like, this is a seal of approval. This is a freaking
This is the fee approval.
Yeah, fee approval, like stamp. No, I personally can't. I will be honest. I like, just a random side note, I do not plan on watching Brendan Fraser's new movie, because
The Whale.
I cannot do it. I like, and it's not because I don't think it's going to be a good film. It's because of how depressing it looks and just like the emotions there. So I just wanted to say Brendan Fraser's name just a few times because I think he's fantastic and I absolutely adore him. But yeah, very good movie. But yeah, is there anything else that you want to share that you've been watching before we continue? Okay, cool. Yeah, I guess I'll talk about the last thing I've been watching, which is a show I started watching specifically because I watched Seinfeld, which is comedians in cars getting coffee with Jerry Seinfeld. And this show, I am shocked by how much I enjoy it. Usually the episodes range from between 15 to 25 minutes, depending on the person he has in his vehicle. And it's just all the, like, he constantly says on the show, I don't like talking to anybody else but comedians. And so he just has a lot of comedians on. And I didn't realize how much of a, like, it was just a way to be introduced to, like, comedians that I just either wasn't familiar with, or just also seeing these, like, massive legends in a conversational setting. Like, one of the last recorded interviews that Jerry Lewis, who's a phenomenal comedian, ever did was comedians in cars getting coffee. And he passed away. And there's just a number of other people as well who are on the show that we are never gonna, like, see anything else from them, because that was, like, one of their last recordings, or one of the last things that they specifically did. And it's just really nice to see them communicating, and I appreciate the way that his communication style is, because it's, I'm gonna, like, I know I just specifically mentioned him, but, like, continue, sorry.
I think there was an episode with Eddie Murphy in one of them, and just, like, learning about how they all got, like, their breaks and stuff like that. They're all the same, like, they're almost the same thing, where there's, like, they're in small comedy clubs, they're trying to make it, and they're all, like, and they're, like, all locally in, like, New York or something, so they all know each other from, like, way back then as well. So it's, like, just knowing about their experiences and stuff like that. The Eddie Murphy episode was really, really well done. I when he went to, like, I think they went to, like, lunch or something like that as well.
Yes,
it was really well done.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to see how Eddie Murphy communicates, because we all know him as this very, like, vibrant, like, over the top kind of character. But him in interviews, he's usually very, like, reserved, and he doesn't really make that many jokes. Like, he'll have a conversation with you, but he doesn't get, like, really excited. But the entire time that, like, he didn't miss a beat when he was hanging out with Jerry. Like, it was actually seeing, like, the comedian Eddie Murphy, but also seeing, like, him just being his normal self, because I feel like he's not a huge fan of interview. I think he has mentioned the fact he doesn't like interviews, and so him going on the show and being, like, feeling comfortable enough to be that way. And Jerry, like, jokes around, and I'm gonna be honest, and this is gonna hot takes for the people who say, like, Jerry Springer's a dick, like, blah blah blah. I'm just like, he knows he's a jerk. Like, he's very, like, this is who I am, this is what I like, and if this is not what I like, I'm not going to deal with it. Like, that's the whole reason why he doesn't want to do a talk show, because he's just like, I don't want to talk to people who bore me. I'm not going to sit there for 50 minutes trying to pretend like I care about what you're saying. Like, this is why he does the show. And yeah, it's a little bit abrasive, and usually I'm not usually interested in more abrasive content, but it's just very, like, it's being able to see these people in, like, a different light, and just seeing them in more, like, a conversational setting, rather than, like, hey, what's your new movie? Fantastic. How's comedy? When's your next release? Fantastic. We're gonna go commercial. Bye. And then that's it. And it's just,
because they don't talk about their future things either. This is just about, like, but like, it's mostly just, like, how they got, like, where they are and their life is just general. The Steve Harvey episode's really, really fucking good too. The Obama one's really good as well. That was, they just took a ride around inside the White House parking lot, pretty much.
Yeah, and they constantly go to, like, the security guard, and he's just like, no, like, since you're driving, Barack, he'll let us out, and he's just like, sir, I can't let you out of this facility. Like, I can't let you out of, like, I can't let you pass the gate. And he's just like, well, I tried. And no, it's, I like the fact that, and also kind of seeing, like, how, like, you were talking about the relationship with other comedians, because I think it was the Dave Chappelle episode, he was talking about Tracy Morgan and the fact that he, like, loves baseball franks, because he went over to, like, it was either Chappelle, like, it was someone's home, and, like, apparently Tracy Jordan went over and, like, was talking about the baseball franks, like, hot dogs, because of the barbecue. And then Tracy Morgan, the next episode, like, a few episodes later, they go to a grocery store so he can go buy hot dogs. I don't understand, like, I also know that the way that Netflix has it released in a different order, it's definitely different than what the actual seasons are, but I digress. No, it's just very interesting to see how he communicates with like certain people. Like I know his energy with Ricky Gervais is definitely different than how he was talking to Jerry Lewis. And rather than treating him like, oh, you're a senior citizen, they go out to a Waffle House and they have a conversation about all these like phenomenal like comedians that he used to know. And then we had like Einstein who was on there, who not Albert Einstein, it was Bobby Einstein, who is a
Oh yeah. He passed away recently too, I think.
2019.
Yeah, 2019. Yeah.
Which
Does a very, very deep voice.
yeah.
I think he was something with like Daredevil something.
Yeah,
I
he was
forgot.
like a full-on stunt double for like
Yeah.
comedians. He would just like do
Yeah.
random shit where he'd like get hit by a train, like a car and stuff like that. And he would just
He's
do, like,
in he's Larry David's one of his best friends at Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's so good.
Yeah,
It's
he's
so good.
one of the co-writers. Yeah, and it's just very curious to see like just it's absurd, and also hearing his story about how his dad died in the middle of a comedy event. Like he did a set, he sat down, he put his head on a table and died. Just terrible. Like anyway, I digress. If you want to see like comedians have very fun conversations, and them constantly picking on Jerry for being on a subpar show, a just sitcom, then definitely check out Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. All right, so I think that's everything we've watched. We'll get into what we've been listening to. We'll start off with Lucas. What have you been listening to?
Well, I don't have much for this because I'm not. I don't listen to too much. The only thing that I could think, and it kind of comes back to our TV conversation, is I listen. The one podcast I listen to regularly is a podcast called Mission Log. It's been going on since 2012, but basically it's two guys and they basically watch every episode every week is them watching an episode of Star Trek, and then they basically just talk about it, break it down. They'll go like over fun facts of like the production, behind the scenes type stuff that they've learned about or researched and know about, and then they'll talk about what kind of morals or messages is the show trying to portray and things like that. So it really comes back to that whole conversation about how I really like to like watch an episode and like let it sink in and do it. So it's very fun to watch. I've been watching, like they've gone through everything. Like I said, they've been doing this since 2012. So they're now in Voyager. I started joining and listening to them when they were going through the Next Generation. So I watched the Next Generation basically along with them. I watched DS9 along with them, and so now I'm going through Voyager basically with them. And yeah, it's just a fun like way to listen and to kind of stretch out the enjoyment of some of this old Star Trek stuff. So yeah, that's my go-to podcast. I highly recommend it if you're interested at all in Star Trek, especially like I said, the older stuff that they're on now. It's
Nice.
super enjoyable just to kind of, sometimes a lot of these episodes are kind of just feel like they're, one and throw away. Like you just saw it on TV once and you never really think about it. But, they watch every episode several times over, really think about it, think about what these mean for the characters in the show and what, how it reflects on humanity and a lot of what kind of, the vision of Star Trek is. So yeah, it's just really, really enjoyable. And I love just, being able to watch an episode and kind of almost have a virtual conversation with them in a way. Like, you kind of feel like you're in the room there listening to kind of being part
You
of
love
that.
a book club.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's just a book club style show. So yeah, that's been my go-to. It's been my go-to for a long time. And I'm always a little bit behind on that. So I find ever since I used to take the bus a lot before I had a car. So on the bus, I used to have a lot more podcast stuff going on. But ever since I started driving and my trips are shorter than they used to be, I don't get to listen to a lot of podcasts. That's the one.
That's one of the things. It's really tough now to like listen to that kind of stuff because like I don't have really. I commute 1 day a week now to work and like that's it. And it's like I just listen to music because like music is my number one thing. Like that is where I have my equilibrium.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to like listen to like a lot of the podcasts and stuff like that anymore. But I know Sly, you listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
I used to listen to more, like you said, like not commuting anywhere and B, not guarding anywhere. When I was a lifeguard, like I'd have podcasts playing we had a little speaker on the guard chair, right? So I was just like listening to podcasts like 24/7 basically while I was living like at college. But yeah, like I previously mentioned, as I quote put in the show doc we have here, rolling with difficulty consumed my life and taken over my soul. But one thing I want to give a shout out to, because it was a funny moment this week, I did take like a little break, and like all of my like regular podcasts I've been trying to like sprinkle in between episodes or whatever. And one of them is the newest Olympian, and so I queued up this week's episode of the newest Olympian, and I finished the episode of Rolling with Difficulty. The next episode started, and the first voice that comes through is one of the player characters on Rolling with Difficulty, but with the newest Olympian theme music playing in, and I was like, oh my god, what's happening? What's going on? But
Worlds
there was just a
collide.
guest on this week's episode. It was really great.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to the newest Olympian, which is a Percy Jackson book club type podcast. It's really fun.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, and on the topic of books, I've been listening to an audiobook, which is called The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. And it's honestly, and this is how people describe it in the actual reviews, it's just like, if you want a book that gives you a hug, this is it. If you want like just a heartwarming slice of life story, this is a phenomenal choice. I was just looking for I was just looking through just audiobooks to find something that might pique my interest, and this just seemed like the reactions and the reviews that it received just really piqued my interest, so I started listening to it. And it is so well made, like just the storyline itself, the audiobook, because the person who is actually the narrator of the audiobook tries to do different voices for everybody, which I really appreciate. But yeah, it's kind of a very interesting story of this character named Mika Moon, who is a witch, and the premise of this particular world, unlike with Harry Potter where you get sent to a school, is if you're born a witch, your parents die. Don't know why. There's multiple different things. They could die in an avalanche. They both could just randomly drown. They could get into car accidents. Whatever might happen, both of their parents die, and so they become orphans. And then usually a witch who is like a witch, like a known witch, will find that particular child, or a family member will take care of that person. And so there's an entire premise in this world where multiple witches can't be in the same place at once. So it is banned, or at least this is what the character believes in, that there cannot be multiple witches there at once, because there's a power that duplicates if two witches or more are in the same spot. And it's just about this girl who finds out that there's 3 young witches living in a house called Nowhere House, with a very opposites attract but very adorable senior gay couple, who one is just loves gardening, and then the man who owns, essentially he's the curator of the house, because the owner is she's an archaeologist, so she's never there, but she's also a witch. And it's just really adorable. I think it's great. It's really well done. Would highly recommend it if you're looking for something. If you just need something that's heartwarming and adorable and just easy to listen to, but also a great story, definitely recommend it. Yeah. All right. And that's what we've been listening to. And so,
Speaking of books,
yeah, speaking of books, Sly's gonna wrap up the show by telling us everything they've read over the past 2 weeks.
yeah, let's just hop right into Sly's reading corner real quick. This is not everything I've read, because I don't want to talk about the fan fiction I've been reading, and I don't want to put you through that either. And I'll just leave it at that. A couple things I want to shout out. The first one being Pride and Premeditation, which is a Jane Austen murder mystery. I mentioned it on my TBR a couple episodes ago. I do want to mention it is a Harper teen book. If you don't know what's going on with the HarperCollins strike, go check it out. I think they just agreed to meet with and third-party mediator, so I'm really excited to see what goes through there. I'm violating the strike by talking about books again. I'm sorry. But this is excellent. We all know I'm a Jane Austen fan. That's well established. But this, if you are a murder mystery fan, if you like Regency-based books with a little bit more of an idealistic take on them, and or you like Jane Austen, you will absolutely fucking adore this book. It
This
is
is Jane
incredibly well done.
Jane Austen the traveling pants person, right?
No,
That's somebody else. Okay, that's somebody else. Okay.
we already had this conversation.
I don't
Sorry.
know.
I can't get back into it.
I don't know who
Um,
wrote the traveling pants.
We can revisit that at the later time, but I'm moving on. It's a retelling of Pride and Prejudice. It's about the first 2 volumes, I would say, emotionally. The murder mystery is excellent. I don't want to tell you anything about it, but I will say when you're looking at adaptations into any medium of stories that are like well known, well adapted, one of the hallmarks of a really good adaptation to me is making you have every single emotional character beat knowing the full arc of these characters. And what I mean by that is like experiencing the feelings that you're supposed to feel about the characters at every point in their journey. And the biggest example for Pride and Prejudice is you hate Mr. Darcy at first meeting, and by the end of it, you fall in love with him as a character, right? And so taking a well-known and beloved character, and you have all this emotional attachment to Mr. Darcy in, any iteration, and making you feel that, like, hatred, that initial gut reaction of like, "Oh, fuck that dude." This book does masterfully. It is so well done. Same with like Wickham and his character arc. I 100% recommend this book to if you like murder mysteries, even if you're not a huge Austen person. I would say read this. And the second one is a surprise that I briefly alluded to. I got my first advanced reader copy of a book ever.
Ooh.
And
Fancy.
I'm very excited. It's so special to me that this is the first arc I ever received. And it's a book called Give Me a Sign. It's by Anna Sortino. And this book, oh my gosh, you guys. If you think of anything you know about me, it's probably in this book. It is the main character is a deaf high school teen. She's a rising senior, so it's the summer before her senior year, and she decides to go work as a camp counselor at this camp that she went to growing up but hasn't been to in a couple years. And it's being a junior counselor, it's like interacting with kids and the toll that takes of a summer, and it's lifeguards and having to be, the Debbie Downer lifeguard who has to follow all the safety. All the little details are so incredibly like accurate and well done and resonant. And on a more personal note, this book made me cry 5 times while reading it. And I'm not a big crier. I'm not a big I do enjoy getting emotional over stories, but like I'm not a big crier. And so the fact that this book in multiple ways elicited such a deep emotional reaction to me it's just incredible. It's for people who grew up deaf, for people who experience slight deafness, for people who are hard of hearing, somewhere in between, balancing those worlds. everybody gets a little bit of representation in this book, and that's just so cool to see such a wide variety of deafness portrayed so accurately. And I would say this is not like a story I would only recommend to deaf people. I would say if you enjoy camp shenanigans, if you enjoy a YA book, every single person needs to pick up this book, especially hearing people, because when we talk about like the idea of representation in general, one of the most prominent things I think for me is when things model an ideal form of communication between two separate cultural groups, right? Like the power that stories have to model like an appropriate interaction between people. And this book does it so well. I will say there is a part I would wish I had a content warning for. There's an interaction with a police officer that was very well handled, in my opinion, and very true to my experiences. But just be prepared for that. What else? Do you guys have any questions about this book? Because I could talk about this forever.
Oh my goodness. When does it come out?
Thank you. That's a great question. I should tell you when it comes. It comes out July 11th, 2023. So it's a perfect summer read. The pre-order is live, so you can pre-order it now. Little treat for yourself in July.
That is right before my birthday. Just saying, everybody, no big deal. Just
All right, nobody buy it for Fee so I can order it for her birthday. It's fine.
sounds good.
Put it on the list. Put it on the list.
Just put it on the list. Just saying that note. Yeah, no, I'm very interested to check it out. I'm currently, I was looking at a few reviews while you were talking, and it looks really good. And I'm definitely looking for some more, like, I definitely recognize that this is like a great representation of like people who have to deal with specifically like hearing loss or like being deaf, but like also like, yo, what's up?
Sorry, I should say the camp that this book is set at is a camp for the deaf and the blind. So
cool.
all sensory impairments. So it does also have some really interesting blind representation.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, no, I personally, like, I on a regular basis watch a very popular YouTuber, Molly Burke, who specifically talks about her experiences. And then I admit that I get really excited because she did a whole thing about like her like seeing eye dog. Absolutely. Elton John's a phenomenal dog. And then kind of seeing her struggle with it as well. And just because she did have another dog as well. Just a random side note. This is a random like tangent. She lost, like, she didn't lose it, but her other guide dog who was supposed to have a few
retire.
So she had Gallop, who had to retire early because of due to the pandemic. She wasn't able to go out nearly as often, and so he was losing his, like, essentially his status as a seeing guide dog, mostly just because of just multiple different things. And so he's now just a family dog to her family. And then she has had another seeing eye dog that she received during the pandemic, named Benny Lux, who had been with two other people previously. And then she received Benny Lux, and then he kind of like defaulted after a year, which is a very big struggle because it takes a lot of time to actually work towards getting a seeing eye dog. And then for her to have to deal with that, especially with like a move and like changes in her life, and then having to get another seeing eye dog, it was just very interesting to see kind of like her transition between all three, and then just seeing her kind of like reactions between it, and then her finally getting her new dog, which I apologize for the spoilers, his name is Elton John, and he's adorable. Hera doesn't like the fact that I'm talking about other animals, so she's losing her mind. Yeah, just Hera's opinions 101. She wants everyone to pay attention to her instead. But yeah, I'm definitely really excited to read that book.
So do you give like feedback with an advanced reader's copy? Like I'm not familiar with how that works. Like is it something that you are, like giving feedback and proofing and any changes, or is it just for early review purposes and stuff like that?
So story-wise, it's locked in. There'll be some like grammatical changes or whatever. From what I've seen from other arcs, most of the time we're giving you this in the hopes that you provide a review. But most of the time it's not like contract locked or anything. But yeah, it's mostly just for visibility and reviews
Very cool
and stuff. So I'm hoping to do more.
Yeah, definitely.
So
That's very cool.
Keep an eye out.
For sure.
Very exciting.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's awesome. Like, honestly, that's really exciting that you had that opportunity. Yeah,
Heck
Hera,
yeah.
definitely really exciting. Oh my god, she's right behind me just screaming. She's just like, she's like, her head's tilted up to the ceiling, just like currently like looking around and just yelling for no reason. Yeah, I'm talking about you. And she's now tilting her head like an owl. She's like, so oh my god. Yeah, so on that note, I think that's everything we have for this evening. I know this is a little bit more of a it was a longer episode, but I think we had a lot of great conversations. And I really appreciate everyone joining us here tonight in the chat. It's been an absolute blast. Thank you, Carlos, Seth, my goodness. We had a number of other people's too, like Karthik. Yeah, also Hera, she wants me to really make sure that everyone knows that she was a part of this podcast. Thank you again.
She must be a little offended that Luke won the poll on which cat would get more screen time, and she's really going for the win in the home stretch here.
Yeah, just random.
She's going for the win off screen, you know? Just not even on screen, just off screen.
That's where she is currently, and she's just like yelling. Do you want to say hi to everybody?
Luca camera shot. He's just gone. He hasn't been around.
Oh, now she's like, she doesn't want to be a part of this. Apparently, she's made her choice. Also, thank you so. Thank you so much, Lucas, for joining us this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure. You'll have to join us another day. Maybe you can fill in my spot when I'm not in one day. He'll sit in my desk and then he can just talk, and then I'll sit on the sofa playing on the Steam Deck. I mean, I'll definitely be busy doing something else that I cannot.
Something important.
Something super important. But yeah.
Like Frank right now, you know?
I wasn't gonna say it.
Oh my god.
Frank playing at his FEMA desk, having the time of his life.
Yeah, playing Dead Space. I do just like, I'm gonna shout out, like I'm gonna just like roast Frank for a second. I like the fact that he was just like, but I want to play Dead Space, but I want to do a podcast with Lucas, and I'm like, well, here's the deal. Doing a podcast with Lucas is not going to be here on Saturday. Playing Dead Space is going to be there on Saturday. So whichever one that you think, we see what choices you made, Frank. But no, oh my god. Yeah, thank you once again, everyone, for joining us this evening. We're going to be maybe taking a break next week because we usually have a meeting at the first of the month, and shockingly the first of the month has like freaking come.
It's already here.
It's already here. So we'll definitely keep everyone up to date. Make sure that you're checking us out over at twitter.com/pointinprogress to keep up to date. We're gonna be also Hera wants you to know that we might be posting a few extra things this week on the Point in Progress YouTube channel, so definitely make sure to check that out. Frank is gonna have to make a Dead Space review because he made his bed and now he has to make he made his bed, now he has to lay in it. So yeah, it's only fair that he makes a Dead Space.
Well, so Fee's announcing it without even telling him.
Oh, by all means, I'm cementing it in here right now. Good luck, Frank.
We said it live. It has to happen.
Yeah, throw it in the Discord now. There we go. There it is.
Exactly. It's gonna be like,
Good luck, have fun.
It was a great podcast. Frank, you have to make a 10-part series. I'm just kidding. He'll do it. I think he already mentioned like he was discussing doing stuff for that. Anyway, but once again, thank you all. We're gonna make sure that I actually end the stream correctly this time because apparently I just left the YouTube stream playing. But yeah, thank you once again, everyone, and progress has been made. Good night, everybody.